Chapter 1192. As Wang Lin moved, he tried to put the jade bottle into his storage space, but it was very strange and couldn't be put into his storage space. In truth, Wang Lin was prepared for this. If he could really put it into his storage space, Master Ashenpine would have already taken it. He wouldn't have held it with his hand. With the help of the 2-speed runes, he charged forward like a ray of light. The giant finger formed by the 7-colored light descended with a heaven-shaking howl. It got closer and closer to Wang Lin. There was also the restriction gas formed by the 3 life and death restrictions from the old woman chasing after him. Under the combined attack of these 2 mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. Since he dared to steal food from the tiger's mouth, he was confident he could resist. While moving, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and his body began to swell. A powerful ancient god aura filled the 7-colored realm. Ripples echoed around Wang Lin's body, and he grew to 100 feet, 500 feet, 1,000 feet. In the blink of an eye, he became a 3,000-foot giant. Between his eyebrows, there were 5 clear ancient god stars revolving rapidly, and a 6th star vaguely appeared. The skin of his huge body was rather rough, and it was faintly covered with a large number of rune-like veins. This was especially true for its gigantic body. Anyone who saw it with their own eyes would feel a sense of terror that came from the depths of their souls. Master Ashenpine's pupils shrank. He had never seen such a spell before, and his mind couldn't help but tremble. The eyes of the old woman in green also shined brightly and revealed a look of disbelief. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to turn into a real ancient god. As he turned around, he looked up at the heavenly fate finger and threw a punch. This was the punch of a real ancient god, and its power was heaven-shaking. Now that Wang Lin had turned into an ancient god, this punch contained a heaven-defying aura. A loud rumble instantly shook the heavens and the earth. Wang Lin's huge fist directly collided with the heavenly fate finger. An indescribable impact spread wildly in all directions. The heavenly fate finger in the sky seemed to be struck by a powerful gust of wind, and the tip of the finger rapidly disintegrated, turning into countless specks of 7-colored light. The speed at which it disintegrated became even faster, and in the blink of an eye, the entire finger disintegrated, turning into countless specks of 7-colored light that filled the world. All of this happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he used the force of his huge body to leap forward. He crossed a great distance and arrived at the foot of the wall-like mountain range. Without any hesitation, he stomped hard on the ground and leaped into the air, crossing the mountain range in front of him. The life and death restriction Qi chased after Wang Lin, and in the blink of an eye, it closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin was above the mountain range, and his right hand reached at the void. A giant crack appeared before him, as if the 7-colored world had been torn apart. A huge pitch-black trident whistled out from the crack. This trident was more than 4,000 feet long, and looked like a sharp weapon that could hold up the sky. As soon as it appeared, an earth-shattering pressure spread out. A rich, ancient god aura surrounded Wang Lin, and he grabbed the trident. He swept it before him, and 3 black lines appeared at the tip of the trident. They seemed to break the void and hissed. With the trident in hand, Wang Lin stood at the top of the mountain like a god. He turned around and swept the trident toward the restriction Qi. The restriction Qi closed in and split into 3. Just as it was about to charge at Wang Lin swung the trident. His ancient god power entered the trident like crazy. There was a flash of black light from the tip of the trident, and it sliced through the restriction Qi. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the 3 restrictions were cut in half. The black light from the trident became even more intense, and the tip of the trident turned into 3 black dragons. They opened their mouths and devoured the restriction Qi. After devouring the trident trembled, and 3 imprints appeared on its body. At this moment, Wang Lin's right hand seemed to be holding a 3-headed black dragon. The black dragon was extremely ferocious and let out a heaven-shaking roar. It constantly twisted its body and revealed a fierce gaze as it stared at Master Ashen Pine and the old woman in green. Wang Lin's cold gaze fell on the two people chasing him. His eyes were cold, and when his gaze swept by, it was as if a cold wind had entered their bodies. Heavenly materials and earthly treasures can be obtained by anyone. How could I steal your treasure? If the two of you continue to tangle with me, then don't blame me for killing you. As Wang Lin's words echoed, he turned around and charged off into the distance. This scene caused Master Ashen Pine and the old woman in green to gasp. This is... Master Ashen Pine's mind trembled, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. He had cultivated for a long time and knew many body-refining spells, but he had never seen a body-refining spell that could create such a large body. What shocked him even more was that he didn't feel that the giant figure was an illusion. It was extremely real. The old woman in green's face was slightly pale as she stared at the giant figure that was about to disappear into the distance. She clenched her teeth and chased after it. Although Master Ashen Pine was shocked, he had prepared for 1,000 years and spent a lot of treasures to obtain it. He wasn't willing to watch it be taken away by someone else. At this moment, his eyes were bloodshot as he chased once more. His right hand pointed at his left shoulder several times, and a brand new left arm appeared. Wang Lin's figure jumped over the mountain range and didn't stop at all. He stepped on the wind and arrived at the valley where the restriction had been placed. With one step, he was about to charge ahead. Just at this moment, the old woman's eyes revealed a vicious gaze. Her hands formed a seal, and she pointed at the restriction she had left outside the valley. In an instant, all the grass in the valley below Wang Lin withered and turned into black ash that flew into the sky. It formed a giant vortex that tried to surround Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan, and his body paused for a moment. He struggled to break free from the formation, and the vortex formed by the black ash chased after Wang Lin. At the same time, the old woman in green revealed a strange light in her eyes. She suddenly sped up and charged down from the mountain. In the blink of an eye, she closed in and entered the formation outside the valley. Master Ashen Pine was behind her and also closed in. However, his eyes lit up, and the moment he entered the formation, he paused for a moment and didn't truly enter. It wasn't that he had found a flaw in the formation, but he was cautious and wary of the old woman in green. Just as the old woman in green entered the formation, Wang Lin suddenly turned around and pointed forward. The black vortex chasing him was pushed back toward the old woman in green. Shortly after, countless restrictions appeared around the valley the old woman was in. This light was dazzling, and thunderous rumbles echoed. It was enough to shock anyone. A series of restriction marks floated up from the ground and surrounded the green-robed old woman in the blink of an eye. At first glance, there were no less than tens of thousands of them. These restrictions gave off a ghostly light. After fusing with the life and death restriction and annihilation restriction, they formed a heaven-shaking restriction. At this moment, they were activated by Wang Lin, and the restrictions around the old woman rushed toward her like crazy. There was also the black-gray whirlpool above it. In the blink of an eye, the whirlpool had covered this place. It was impossible to see what was going on inside, but the rumbling and the muffled groan of the green-clothed old woman could be clearly heard. At this moment, the earth trembled, and the old woman's roars became even louder. There was a faint flash of bloodlight, and the thunderous rumbles continued. It was clear that she was in a life or death crisis. This caused Master Ashen Pine's expression to change greatly once more. He immediately realized that the restriction here was placed by the old woman in green, but it was obviously controlled by Wang Lin. Wang Lin had set up this killing trap to lure the army into the trap. This person is also proficient in restrictions. Master Ashen Pine looked at the old woman in green, who was completely trapped in the formation, and clearly felt the power of the restriction. He took a deep breath, but he didn't give up on stealing the jade bottle. This old woman being trapped is a good thing for the old man. As long as I kill that person named Lu, I can take back the jade bottle. At that time, with the old man's familiarity with this place, no one will be able to find me. There was a flash of killing intent in Master Ashenpine's eyes, and he made a decision in a flash. He moved around the restriction outside the valley, and his right hand formed a seal. Tens of thousands of golden lights appeared around him and shot toward Wang Lin. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He was waiting for this opportunity. He couldn't deal with two mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators, so he could only injure or trap one of them first. Only then could he fight the rest. In particular, Master Ashenpine had bad intentions back on planet Penglai. Seeing this person's spell closing in, Wang Lin let out a cold snort and waved the trident in his right hand. The three black dragon heads roared, and the sword rain was pushed back into the sky. They couldn't get close to Wang Lin. Master Ashenpine's eyes revealed a ferocious gaze. Without a word, his right hand reached out and a crack to his storage space appeared. He reached out and a flying sword flew out. This sword was like a crystal. The moment it appeared, the aura of a pseudo-Nirvana void treasure surrounded the seven-colored realm. Wang Lin's pupil shrank. Just at this moment, Master Ashenpine let out a roar and threw the crystal sword in his hand. The sword let out a heaven-shattering howl and closed in on Wang Lin. A real battle with a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator made Wang Lin excited. His eyes were cold and filled with battle intent. Instead of retreating, he swung the trident in his right hand, and the three black dragons flew out to devour the crystal sword. What was even stranger was that the three marks on the halberd's body that had appeared after devouring the life and death restriction suddenly flashed and fused with the three black dragons, causing the surrounding area to be filled with the aura of the life and death restriction. This was the true power of the trident. Chapter 1193. Devouring everything in the world as one's own divine ability. This was the ancient god weapon that ancient god 2C refined in the past. After ancient god 2C refined this item, he was extremely satisfied with it. The only problem was that it had no soul. Hence, he threw it into a planet and turned it into a mountain. He used time to condense its soul. After his ink current soul division technique succeeded, this item became an ancient god weapon that was comparable to the god exterminating spear. Unfortunately, 2C's flowing ink divine clone failed, so it was lost over time. After Tian Yunzi obtained it, he could use its power, but he couldn't activate its devour spell. One had to be an ancient god to activate its spell. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level wasn't as high as Tian Yunzi's, he was an ancient god. After going through the first trial and second calamity, his flesh, blood, and marrow had reformed, and he was a true ancient god. That was why he could use its devour spell. The three black dragons, formed by the trident, were the devouring dragons. After the life and death restriction was devoured, it became the trident's own spell. It flew out and fused with the black dragons. Then they charged at the pseudo-Nirvana void crystal sword. This crystal sword was one of the more powerful treasures Master Ashenpine had obtained. He had taken it out to quickly kill Wang Lin. The crystal sword howled and gave off a heaven-shaking sword energy. It was as if even the world was going to be split by this sword. The black dragons instantly closed in on the crystal sword. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the three devouring dragons opened their mouths and completely devoured the crystal sword. At the same time, the three black dragons trembled and a thunderous rumble came from one of them. However, it struggled and didn't collapse. It returned to Wang Lin's side with the other two heads and turned back into the trident. There was a faint flash of crystal light on the body of the trident. The crystal sword slowly imprinted itself on it. Master Ashenpine's expression changed, but he immediately stepped forward. His right hand formed a seal and pointed forward. There was a flash of light before him, and rays of sword energy appeared. These rays of sword energy filled the world and shot toward Wang Lin. Then, he reached into his storage space, and 3 beads appeared in his hand. He threw them forward and shouted, "Summon, defying one." The rainbow-colored light in the world condensed again and surged into the 3 pearls. With a series of bangs, one of the pearls immediately collapsed. At the instant it collapsed, an illusory figure appeared in the sky. This illusory figure was blurry, and its features could not be seen clearly. However, there was a sword might that enveloped the entire area. The phantom raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. With a single point of his finger, the seven-colored light around him quickly gathered and turned into a seven-colored sword chi that could split the heavens and earth. It went straight for Wang Lin. Shortly after, another bead collapsed, causing the earth to tremble. The wall-like mountain not far away began to collapse, and a stone person about 1,000 feet tall walked out from the mountain. The earth trembled with each step it took. The stone person was covered in seven-colored light and charged at Wang Lin. At the same time, the third pearl exploded as well. Seven-colored light gathered madly in the sky, turning into a gigantic wheel. The wheel was illusory, and at this moment, it spun rapidly, emanating a boundless might. Master Ashenpine didn't hesitate to use 3 beads. He clearly wanted to kill Wang Lin here. His right hand formed a seal and pointed to between his eyebrows. His face immediately turned blood red, and another ray of blood light flew out from between his eyebrows. There was a nascent soul-like object inside the bloodlight, but it was exactly the same as the nascent soul that attacked the old woman in green. This nascent soul let out a mournful scream and charged at Wang Lin. Its face was ferocious and gave off an indescribable ferociousness. All of this happened in an instant. The moment the trident returned to Wang Lin, Master Ashenpine's killing move closed in. He was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer, so his powerful origin energy had fused with his spells and treasures, making him extremely powerful. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but his eyes were filled with battle intent. He grabbed the trident and threw it at the giant compass in the sky. From Wang Lin's point of view, this was the greatest threat. Then, he formed a seal with his right hand and pointed forward. Immediately, the seven-colored light in the sky was covered by a black wind. The black wind covered the sky and the earth, and a roar came from within it. The Call of the Wind technique descended, and several black dragons roared angrily. They did not scatter, but instead gathered together and went straight for the blurry figure in the sky who had unleashed the seven-colored sword chi. After Call of the Wind came Call of the Rain. Wang Lin waved his sleeves, and drops of crystal rain appeared within tens of thousands of feet of Master Ashenpine. A portion of the sword energy turned into ice and surrounded the stone man. Popping sounds echoed as Wang Lin stepped forward. His right hand formed a fist, and he threw a punch at the seven-colored sword energy that was flying toward him. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and as the seven-colored sword energy trembled, all 6 colors collapsed. Only a ray of blue light shot out and entered Wang Lin's right hand. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he immediately felt a powerful aura rush into his body through his arm. He let out a muffled groan, and his left hand formed a seal. He opened his mouth, and a ray of light flew out. The light turned into the celestial sealing stamp before him. The celestial sealing stamp rotated rapidly, and battle souls rushed out from it. Master Void, Tian Yunzi, and Wu Qin all appeared and charged at the blood soul with ferocious expressions. In addition, a large amount of battle souls came out from the celestial sealing stamp. There were celestials, all Heaven Star System cultivators, and Alliance Star System cultivators. All kinds of battle souls appeared, and the area was filled with a raging aura. This scene caused Master Ashenpine to suck in a breath of cold air. Although he had overestimated Wang Lin, he didn't expect Wang Lin to use so many treasures. Just a few spells were enough to make an ordinary cultivator's scalp tingle. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the seven-colored realm. The trident charged into the compass, but when it was only 7 inches from the compass, it was stopped by the seven-colored lightning. The 3 black dragons on the trident devoured the lightning like crazy and continued to close in. The blurry figure standing in the air also gradually dissipated under the roar of the black dragon formed by Call Wind. Even further away, the giant stone man was covered in countless layers of ice under the countless raindrops created by Summon the Rain. Before it even got close, it had already become a giant ice man. The blood soul-like thing screamed as it was surrounded by the battle souls of Master Void and the other old monsters, but it couldn't escape. What was worthy of Wang Lin's attention was Tian Yunzi's battle soul. After it appeared, its eyes were filled with confusion. It wasn't controlled by magic arsenal and didn't attack. Instead, it stared dumbfoundedly at the sky. Wang Lin had no time to pay attention to Tian Yunzi's battle soul. His giant hand reached out, and countless bolts of thunder appeared. It was as if Wang Lin had caught the lightning. The endless lightning condensed into an illusory lance. This lance was the phantom of the god-slaying spear. He threw it forward, and the god-slaying spear broke through all obstacles before it. It charged at the giant compass in the sky. Wang Lin didn't stop at all. As he moved forward, he raised his right hand and mercilessly pressed down. A howl came from the giant palm, and his left hand pressed down on the back of his right hand. Origin energy surged from the seven-colored realm and instantly entered his right hand. A giant, illusory palm print suddenly appeared before Wang Lin's palm and descended on Master Ashenpine. Master Ashenpine's eyes were bloodshot and filled with madness. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. He waved his right hand, and his expression became ferocious. 7 nascent souls suddenly appeared above his head. The 7 nascent souls let out mournful roars, and in the blink of an eye, a lightning mark appeared before Master Ashenpine. The moment this lightning mark appeared, the entire world darkened. It was as if all light was absorbed by this lightning mark. Use 100 generations of blood essence to form a soul and summon the spirit of the 7th formation. Master Ashenpine roared, and the lightning mark shined brightly. At this moment, Wang Lin's palm print descended toward the lightning mark. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the palm print immediately collapsed. The moment it collapsed, a bolt of lightning flew out toward Wang Lin. It was so fast that Wang Lin didn't have time to dodge at all. The lightning landed on Wang Lin's chest. With a bang, Wang Lin's body trembled, and he retreated several steps. For the first time, ancient god blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were filled with ferocity. His right hand reached at the void, and an iron sword appeared. It circled his palm as if it had locked onto a target and shot toward Master Ashenpine. Master Ashenpine's left hand waved at his storage space, and a 7-colored nail appeared in his hand. This was exactly the same as the nail that had nailed the skeleton covered in Tao scriptures. Die for the old man. Master Ashenpine raised his head and waved his hand. The 7-colored nail shot toward the iron sword. This nail contained an unimaginable pressure that surpassed the power of a pseudo-nirvana void treasure. In the blink of an eye, the nail collided with the iron sword. With a cracking sound, the iron sword was split in half from the middle. The 7-colored nail broke the iron sword and nailed into Wang Lin's right shoulder. A wave of intense pain swept through his body, and Wang Lin's body trembled. Although the iron sword broke in half, the tip of the sword pierced through Master Ashenpine's chest and stabbed into the ground. Master Ashenpine coughed out blood. While seriously injured, he turned around and flew toward the wall-like mountain range. Wang Lin's body trembled violently. The 7-colored nail in his right shoulder seemed to be able to nail his origin soul. His vision became blurry, and his body rapidly shrank until he was about to return to the size of a normal person. He clenched his teeth and stared at Master Ashenpine, who was constantly coughing out blood. He raised his left hand. The war spirit print appeared in his mind, and he mercilessly pushed forward. The war spirit print appeared out of thin air, and a giant palm print appeared. It shot toward Master Ashenpine. When it closed in, he used some unknown spell, and his body collapsed in a 7-colored fog. He didn't die from the war spirit print, and the 7-colored fog wrapped around his origin soul to escape. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared to the other side of the mountain range. Wang Lin coughed out blood, and his body returned to normal. He put away all his treasures and didn't even look at the restriction trapping the old woman. He turned into a ray of light and quickly left. Large amounts of blood flowed out from his right shoulder, and his face was pale. In his battle with Master Ashenpine, Both of them were seriously injured. At this moment, the giant compass in the sky slowly moved toward Wang Lin. Today, I received a call from someone who called himself Lu Jinbiao. The first thing he said was that you offended someone and that someone offered 60,000 yuan to buy your life. This person knows where I am and is very clear about it. He told me to prepare 60,000 yuan to resolve this matter. I have already called the police and am waiting for this person who claims to want my life to come. This old man wants to see if this person is a swindler or a real fugitive. There are 2 axes on the table. This old man is waiting. Everyone, no need to call me. I'll update tomorrow with the result. Today's 2 chapters were written while waiting for the person who wants my life to come. Not bad. Airjin's psychological quality is not bad. If nothing happens, Airjin will be here tomorrow until the end of the month. Chapter 1194. Wang Lin's face was pale without a trace of blood. Only the blood on the corner of his mouth was shocking. He put away all his treasures, including the broken iron sword and the battle soul, and quickly retreated. Master Ashen Pine's blood-nascent soul didn't have time to escape. It was surrounded by Wang Lin's battle soul and was taken back. His vision was blurry and a feeling of drowsiness filled his body. There was a stabbing pain in his right shoulder, causing him to alternate between being conscious and unconscious. It was as if there were double shadows in front of him. The giant compass in the sky moved and shrouded Wang Lin. As it rotated rapidly, a powerful pressure spread out and locked onto Wang Lin. As the pressure became stronger, Wang Lin's body became extremely weak and he staggered. Just at this moment, a rumbling sound came from the compass, and it spun even faster. The 7-colored light that swept through the sky gathered on the compass, and suddenly, countless 7-colored marks appeared on the compass. A sense of danger spread through Wang Lin's body. In this moment of danger, Wang Lin bit his tongue and became sober. The moment he became sober, the countless runes on the compass descended like crazy toward Wang Lin. As these runes descended, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and his left hand reached at the void. The trident appeared in his hand and the runes closed in like rain. A thunderous rumble echoed and Wang Lin coughed out blood. Many parts of his body were imprinted by the runes, leaving behind deep marks. Every time the runes touched his body, Wang Lin's body would tremble. His eyes were filled with madness. This was Wang Lin's personality. The more dangerous the situation was, the more crazy he would be. Calmness and madness did not contradict each other. Calm judgment and crazy behavior. This compass was ingrained into Wang Lin's bones. If he didn't destroy it, it would continue to pursue him and bring Wang Lin a long time of crisis. With this compass, it would be as easy as flipping his hand if someone wanted to find Wang Lin. Wang Lin held the trident in his left hand, and the madness in his eyes became even stronger. He knew he didn't have much time left. As his injuries became more serious, his consciousness would become blurry again. He had to break this compass as soon as possible and find a place to heal while he was awake. Time was of the essence. Wang Lin took a deep breath and battle intent ignited in his eyes. A fire appeared in his left eye and surrounded his body. The red vermilion bird armor suddenly appeared on Wang Lin's body. At the same time, thunder flashed in his right eye and shot out. This caused the surrounding 10,000 feet of land to turn into a thunder lake. Thunder rumbled, and silver electric snakes slithered around. Popping sounds came from the ground, and a large number of gravel floated in the air. The remaining ancient god power in his body avoided his right arm and gathered in his left hand, then flowed into the trident. At this moment, there was a thunderous roar that seemed to contend with the heavens. Wang Lin's entire body shot up from the ground. A sea of fire spread out, and the rose finch appeared around Wang Lin. It was as if Wang Lin was controlling the flames of heaven and earth as he rushed toward the compass. The moment he rushed out, thunder rumbled and rolled up from the ground. It accompanied Wang Lin and rose into the air. From afar, the Thunder Lake gradually formed a thunder mountain as Wang Lin rose into the air. A mountain formed by thunder. At the peak of the mountain was Wang Lin. This thunder mountain continued to grow until it completely dissipated from the ground and gathered around Wang Lin's body. It was as if Wang Lin had absorbed this thunder mountain. With the power of thunder and fire, Wang Lin was like a meteor surrounded by a sea of thunder and fire. He held a trident and used a crazy method to walk his own heaven-defying cultivation path. His speed became faster and faster. As more and more marks appeared on the compass, he closed in. The sound of the air breaking became even more intense until it turned into a heaven-shaking rumble. 9 mysterious transformations. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot, and his body split into 9 parts in the air. However, the 9 parts immediately fused into one, and an aura far stronger than before descended on his body in this 7-colored world. Rosefinch's voice suddenly echoed. Wang Lin's figure was dazzling as he charged at the compass. His speed became faster and faster until he smashed into the compass. Thunderous rumbles rose into the air and echoed madly in all directions. The rotating feng shui compass trembled and collapsed with a bang. At first, only a few cracks appeared on the feng shui compass, but soon, those cracks continued to spread. In the end, the gigantic feng shui compass was covered in cracks. With a bang, it shattered into pieces. At the instant the countless fragments swept in all directions, a crimson figure flew out from the collapsed compass and charged into the distance without looking back, disappearing into the horizon. Although the figure dissipated, the sound of the compass collapsing and the fragments scattering echoed across the entire 7-colored world. In the periphery, a large number of mist-like fierce beasts quickly condensed and turned into various fierce beasts. All of them looked in the direction of the earth-shattering sound. Inside the 7-colored realm, the lost ones who had lost their hair all stopped at this moment. They raised their heads and looked at the source of the sound in confusion. The boy named Duanmu was one of them. There was a secluded cave on one of the mountain peaks in the outer region. A burly man sat cross-legged in the cave. His face was pale, and his robes were stained with brown blood. He was healing himself when he suddenly opened his eyes. The rumbling and fluctuations coming from the distance caused him to take a deep breath. This person was Chun Tianjun. The old woman in green was completely trapped by the restriction outside the valley and couldn't leave in a short period of time. At the same time, she had to endure the constant attacks of the restriction. Her face was pale, and her eyes were filled with unwillingness. Her hands continued to form restrictions to resist, but the power of the restrictions here was far beyond her imagination. After the life and death restriction and annihilation restriction fused, they were inseparable and she couldn't control them at all. As a result, she would be attacked at every moment, and her injuries were becoming more and more serious. As the rumbles echoed across the world, the old woman in green looked up in shock. This thunderous rumble echoed across the 7-colored realm and into the wall-like mountain range. It caused the fog inside to churn like a raging wave. For the first time, the enlightened ones stopped their strange murmuring. They all looked up in a daze. Inside the fog, there was a 7-colored fog above the head of the giant statue with a lightning mark between its eyebrows. Master Ashen Pine's origin soul was very weak as he sat there. His hands formed seals, and he continued to cultivate to heal. When he heard the voice, he suddenly looked up, and shock filled his eyes. This time, he was truly shocked. Although he had overestimated Wang Lin, he didn't expect Wang Lin to be on par with him. The battle had been so tragic that both sides were seriously injured. Thinking about all the treasures he had used, especially the 3 beads, Master Ashenpine felt pain in his heart. There was also the crystal sword, which made his heart feel like it was being cut by a knife. However, compared to the 7-colored nail, the blow to Master Ashenpine was really insignificant. Thinking about the 7-colored nail, Master Ashenpine felt like his origin soul was going to collapse. That was the strongest treasure in his storage space, his life-saving ace. However, after taking it out, he hadn't been able to kill that damned person named Lou. He had even lost his body and almost died here. The reason he had escaped, aside from his body being too weak to fight, was because he believed that the other person would die for sure. With such serious injuries, the other person couldn't escape the compass spell formed by the beads. Once the other person died, he could control the compass spell to absorb the other person's body and origin soul. Once his injuries were healed, everything would be easy. However, the rumble from the distance and the severing of his connection caused Master Ashenpine's body to tremble, and he silently pondered. Even with such injuries, this person was still able to break the compass spell. For the first time, Master Ashenpine felt fear toward Wang Lin. The mountain range Master Ashenpine wasn't the center of the seven-colored realm, as he had said. This wasn't the center. Deeper in, at the edge of the real center of the seven-colored realm, there was a valley shrouded in fog. Master Cloud Soul was sitting there with a pale face and didn't dare to move. Wang Lin's divine sense had become blurry as he moved, but he clenched his teeth and barely managed to keep a sliver of consciousness. As he moved forward, his eyes gradually dimmed, and he entered an abandoned cave. He only had time to open his storage space to let the woman in silver and Su Ligua fly out to protect him before he fell to the ground and fainted. Su Ligua had completed the task Wang Lin had given him when he killed Noble Money and was taken away by Wang Lin. Now that he appeared, he was about to proudly take credit when he saw that Wang Lin's eyes were closed and his face was ashen. He was startled, and his eyes couldn't help but turn. However, just at this moment, a cold snort echoed, and Su Ligua's body trembled. When he looked back, he immediately revealed a flattering expression. Back in the storage space, he knew how powerful this woman in silver was and didn't dare to offend her. "Protect him." The woman in silver's voice was cold as she sat down next to Wang Lin. Her gaze swept past Wang Lin's face, and there was a hint of confusion and gentleness in her eyes. Su Ligua quickly tried to please her. A moment later, he saw that the woman in silver didn't respond and was only looking at the fiend, so he immediately became a loyal protector of the cave. However, he secretly muttered in his heart, "What's so good about that fiend? Grandpa Su is more handsome, elegant, and peerless." Alas, sometimes being too extraordinary is a kind of helplessness. Su Ligua let out a long sigh in his heart and revealed a regretful expression. Recommending the new book by the platinum author of the Special Forces, The Dancing Enchantress. The Law of Survival, book number 12. This enchantress seems very confident. Everyone might as well collect it and fatten it up. Chapter 1195. The woman in silver withdrew her gaze after a long time, and the confusion in her eyes became even stronger. She seemed to vaguely remember something, but it was very vague. She raised her jade-like hand and waved it according to her vague memory. There was a flash of ghostly light that turned into a restriction that landed at the entrance of the cave. If Wang Lin was awake and saw this, his expression would become serious. This restriction was actually the life and death restriction. From the looks of it, her technique was even more skilled than the old woman in green. Wang Lin wasn't unconscious for too long. Several hours later, he opened his eyes. When his gaze fell on the entrance of the cave, he was startled. He looked at the woman in silver, but didn't say anything. He sat down and closed his eyes to cultivate. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days went by. During these 3 days, the outside world was completely calm without any fluctuations. It was as if all the cultivators in the seven-colored realm were taking this time to heal. 3 days later, not only did Wang Lin's face not recover, it became even more pale. There was a faint, seven-colored glow on his right shoulder, and the wound had healed. However, the seven-colored nail was still nailed into his shoulder bone, causing it to shatter. However, the powerful recovery ability of an ancient god allowed the cracks to heal. This cycle brought endless pain to Wang Lin. What was even more serious was that not only were the seven-colored nails nailed into his bones, but even Wang Lin's origin soul seemed to be nailed in as well. His movements were slow and dispirited. If that was it, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Wang Lin was shocked to find that the seven-colored nail was constantly absorbing his vitality. It was as if it wouldn't stop until he was completely sucked dry. What kind of treasure is this? It has such power to even break the pseudo-Nirvana Void Sword in half. Wang Lin's heart ached. The pseudo-Nirvana Void Sword had accompanied him for many years and was extremely sharp. However, it had been broken in the seven-colored realm. There's also the beads that Master Ashenpine threw out. Each one of them can summon spells in the seven-colored realm. They are extremely strange, and there is even the heavenly fate finger. Wang Lin endured the pain and pondered. He recalled the moment when Tian Yunzi's fighting soul had appeared. He had looked up at the sky in a daze. This place must have something to do with Tian Yunzi. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin's eyes flashed coldly. However, that Master Ashenpine must also be seriously injured. His body collapsed under the war spirit print, and only his origin soul escaped. He was injured by the iron sword and consumed a large amount of treasures. I just need to recover as soon as possible, and the next time we meet, he will without a doubt die. There's also that old woman in green. She's trapped in the formation. Even if she's skilled in the life and death restriction, it still contains my annihilation restriction. It won't be easy for her to escape. Even if she tries to break it by force, she'll definitely be seriously injured. There's also that Master Cloud Soul. He was teleported here and changed his location, so I don't know where he is. However, this place is filled with danger, and it'll be very dangerous to randomly teleport. I'm afraid he can't even take care of himself right now. All three of them were tricked by me. Only the Battle Beast Sex, Chun Tianjun, left early. Although I felt the fluctuations of his spells dissipate, it's difficult to prove that he is dead. Everyone here is scheming against each other. They don't want others to leave with treasures. This is what it means when a person doesn't want to hurt the tiger, but the tiger wants to harm the person. If we remain passive, we will only end up being tricked by others. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had already seen through all of this, which was why he had acted so quickly. First, he teleported Master Cloud Soul to another location. Then he trapped the old woman in green and left Master Ashenpine to battle. While pondering, intense pain came from Wang Lin's right shoulder once more. Sweat appeared on his forehead, and his eyes revealed a decisive gaze. He raised his left hand and cut his right shoulder. A wound immediately appeared and blood poured out from the wound. The wound continued to expand until it revealed the 7-colored nail in the bone below. In an instant, 7-colored light filled the cave. Su Liguo licked his lips as he looked at Wang Lin and thought, "This fiend is indeed a fiend. Not only is he ruthless to others, he is ruthless to himself as well." After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin clenched his teeth, and his left hand moved like lightning toward the 7-colored nail. He let out a roar and mercilessly pulled it out. Intense pain swept through his body like crazy. Wang Lin let out a muffled groan, and his clothes were soaked in sweat. His body trembled, but he was unable to pull out the 7-colored nail. It was as if the nail had grown into his bone and was inseparable. What was even more strange was that the 7-colored light from the 7-colored nail had fused into the bone and filled the entire right side of the bone. This made it look 7-colored. Wang Lin's face was pale. The moment the 7-colored light fused into the bone, his mind became a blur. There was a hint of madness. Although this sign disappeared in a moment, it made Wang Lin suck in a breath of cold air. At that moment, the signs of madness were completely out of his control. It was as if his mind had fallen into hell and was sealed by layers of seals. He was no longer himself. When he looked at his right shoulder, the 7-colored nail had shrunk by half. Staring at the 7-colored nail, Wang Lin had a feeling that if all the nails disappeared, his bones would become 7-colored. At that time, the signs of madness would not just be a trace, but permanent. What kind of treasure is this? The flesh on Wang Lin's right shoulder gradually healed. A moment later, the wound disappeared, covering up the 7-colored nail inside. Silently looking at the healing wound, Wang Lin closed his eyes. His origin soul struggled to move. Since external force couldn't take out the 7-colored nail, Wang Lin would try to use his origin energy and ancient god power to force it out. Time passed, and another 3 days passed. Wang Lin opened his eyes. With his cultivation level, he could only slightly suppress the 7-colored light. He couldn't force the 7-colored light out of the bone, much less the nail. I can suppress it a bit, but it's not a dead end. Right now, I need to find helpers. If I have enough helpers, I should be able to force the 7-colored light back and force the nail out. Wang Lin silently looked at the jade bottle he put down when he fainted. This was Master Ashenpine's ultimate goal for coming to the seven-colored realm. Picking up the jade bottle, Wang Lin's divine sense entered it. It was half a bottle of black liquid that looked like blood, but it didn't have the smell of blood. Once I take Master Ashenpine's origin soul, I will know what this thing is. If I'm not mistaken, it should be related to increasing my cultivation level. After putting the jade bottle away, Wang Lin stood up. His gaze fell on the life and death restriction at the entrance of the cave, and then he looked at the woman in silver. You know the life and death restriction? The woman in silver silently pondered. After a long time, she softly said, I have some memories. Open the restriction. Wang Lin nodded slightly. The woman in silver walked to the entrance of the cave and hit it with her jade-like hand. The restriction immediately disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin didn't ask in detail and waved his sleeves. Su Ligua was about to speak, but before he could speak, he was put into his storage space by Wang Lin along with the woman in silver. After leaving the cave, Wang Lin took a deep breath. He endured the pain in his right shoulder and charged into the distance. He wasn't going into the inner part of the seven-colored realm, but the outer part of the mountain outside the valley. There were many mountains there, and they were filled with ferocious beasts that had turned into fog. These ferocious beasts were the helpers Wang Lin had found for himself. He moved very fast as he passed through the valley. He gradually followed his original path to the outer part of the seven-colored realm. After passing through the passage in the mountain range, Wang Lin looked up. His eyes lit up as he stared at the mountain where the passage was located in the dense fog. After carefully thinking about the plan in his heart, Wang Lin revealed a determined gaze. Although this trip was dangerous, if he could force out the seven-colored nail, then it would all be worth it. Let's see how strong my ancient god body is. Wang Lin's body flashed, and he charged toward the top of the mountain. Before he got close, a roar came from the fog. A giant eagle 1,000 feet large flew out from the fog and charged at Wang Lin. The fog followed closely behind the giant eagle. It was too fast and closed in the blink of an eye. With a powerful impact, the eagle charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't dodge and directly used his body to resist. One person and one eagle quickly closed in and collided. A thunderous rumble echoed, and Wang Lin was forced back. Borrowing the force of the eagle's attack, he didn't dissipate it at all. All of it was transmitted to his bones, causing the seven-colored light in his bones to flash. The light actually penetrated his skin. From a distance, it looked like Wang Lin's body was covered in seven-colored light. The eagle let out an angry roar and was also knocked back. It circled in the air and charged at Wang Lin once more. Wang Lin trembled, but he didn't stop. He charged out once more toward the fog. At this moment, the roar of the shadow beast caused the fog to churn, and another eagle 1,000 feet large appeared. Together with the previous eagle, there were two eagles that roared and charged at Wang Lin. Banging sounds continued, and Wang Lin felt like he was being hit by countless mountains. His face became even paler, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. However, his eyes became brighter and brighter. These two fierce beasts were both ranked 12, so the impact was very powerful. However, Wang Lin's body was strange, so all the impact force was transferred to his right bone. Even if he was seriously injured, he had to force out the seven-colored light. Half of his body shined with seven-colored light. With Wang Lin's method, it was as if the two eagles were helping him force out the seven-colored light. The seven-colored light flashed and gradually gathered toward his right shoulder. Black light flashed, and the two eagles roared as they continued to attack Wang Lin. Wang Lin's injuries became more serious and blood flowed from his mouth, but he was ecstatic. As long as the foundation of an ancient god's body wasn't damaged, all injuries could be healed in a short period of time. Even if he was seriously injured, it didn't matter to Wang Lin as long as he could force out the seven-colored nail. At this moment, Wang Lin's body had reached the limit of what it could withstand. The seven-colored light on his right shoulder had completely condensed into the seven-colored nail. Under the continuous attacks, the nail began to loosen and showed signs of moving outwards. Just at this moment, another roar came from the fog at the top of the mountain. The third eagle flew out and turned into a black ray of light that charged toward Wang Lin and smashed into his chest. Wang Lin's body trembled. The huge impact made his already injured body feel like it was going to collapse, but his eyes were filled with joy. As he laughed, his right shoulder exploded with a bang. Flesh and blood flew everywhere, and a seven-colored light flew out. It was the seven-colored nail. I'm fine. Thank you everyone for your concern. Starting this morning, the monthly votes will be doubled. I hope there will be more monthly votes to make my ears happy. At that time, the third update will also be delivered. Chapter 1196. Grabbing the seven-colored nail, Wang Lin used the impact to retreat and land at the bottom of the mountain. Above him, the three eagles roared and chased after him like three rays of black light. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to charge into the passage. He endured the pain in his body and flew forward. The roar of the eagle that had transformed into a streak of black light was still ringing in his ears, but it did not chase into the passageway. Instead, it paced back and forth outside, revealing a tyrannical expression. After a long time, it slowly flew away, once again turning in a mist that filled the mountain peak. Inside the tunnel, Wang Lin found a hidden place to sit down. After placing down a large number of restrictions, he immediately swallowed a pill and began to cultivate. His body was heavily injured, but the ancient god body not only gave him powerful strength, but also had an unimaginable recovery ability. After a few hours, his injuries had recovered. However, Wang Lin didn't leave. He continued to sit there and circulate his ancient god power to every part of his body. As he healed, origin energy quickly flowed through his body. Without the seven-colored nail, there was nothing stopping Wang Lin from recovering. Time quickly passed. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and they shined like lightning in the dark tunnel. He stood up and moved around. The injuries in his body were almost completely healed, and his primordial spirit was no longer dispirited. The essence force in his body had also completely recovered from these 2 days of breathing exercises. At this moment, he had once again reached his peak. Even if Master Ashenpine wasn't injured, he could still fight him. In a flash, Wang Lin moved like thunder through the tunnel and appeared in the valley. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin recalled his previous risky attempt. He flipped his right hand, and a seven-colored nail appeared in his palm. He still had some lingering fear toward this item. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the body of an ancient god, the seven-colored nail wouldn't be able to turn his bones seven-colored and delay the signs of madness. The consequences would have been unimaginable. Because he had the body of an ancient god, he was able to borrow external force to force the nail out. No other cultivator would be able to do all of this. Even someone at the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer would die to the seven-colored nail if they didn't have an ancient god body. This thing is definitely not ordinary. With one strike, not only did it shatter the iron sword, but also pierced through my flesh and directly nailed into my bones. If the iron sword hadn't blocked it, this nail would have pierced through my bones and turned into a seven-colored light that instantly fused into my bones. Wang Lin stared at the seven-colored nail in his hand and spread out his divine sense to surround it. After leaving his mark on it, he put it into his storage space. As the saying goes, a loss is a gain. Although the iron sword is broken, I have obtained this even sharper seven-colored nail. This item will become my trump card in the future. With this, even a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator will die if they are nailed. While pondering, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void and took out Pangdit-sized ring from his storage space. He put on his left thumb. The defensive power of this ring was excellent, and it could be considered a powerful weapon in the seven-colored realm. Then he took out another item. This was the short sword that was stabbed into the deer bone. Unfortunately, with Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he couldn't open it. After looking at it for a moment, he put it away. Finally, he took out Master Ashenpine's blood-colored nascent soul. This nascent soul looked weak in Wang Lin's hand, but it was still fierce as it stared at Wang Lin and roared. This thing is interesting. Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of origin energy. He swallowed the nascent soul and refined it inside his origin soul. This thing looked like a nascent soul, but also like a treasure. It was a bit strange. Wang Lin didn't know its origin, but that didn't stop him from refining it. After refining it with his origin soul and erasing Master Ashenpine's imprint, it would become Wang Lin's. At that time, he would naturally be able to study it. Although both sides suffered heavy losses in this battle, my harvest was not small. The jade bottle of liquid, the 7-colored nail, the blood-colored nascent soul, and that crystal sword. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the trident appeared in his hand. He shook it, and a small crystal sword flew out. Holding this sword, the aura of a pseudo-nirvana void treasure spread out. Although it couldn't compare to the iron sword, its power was not ordinary. After organizing his treasures, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. From the many treasures on Master Ashenpine, it wasn't difficult for Wang Lin to guess that there was a large amount of treasures in the 7-colored realm. Most of Master Ashenpine's treasures were related to this place, especially that bead, which could summon spells. This is a treasure land. If Master Ashenpine can obtain these treasures, so can I. The battle in the future will be to see who can obtain the treasures and pills, and who can increase their cultivation. Wang Lin licked his lips and charged into the valley ahead. His first target was Sima Mo's cave in Pangdit-Sai's memory. According to Pangdit-Sai's memories, after they discovered Sima Mo's cave mansion, they did not completely open it. They only opened a part of it. They were prepared to obtain beast souls here and refine them into elixirs. Once their cultivation levels increased, they would use all their strength to break open Sima Mo's cave mansion. A completely intact cave that hasn't been opened yet. Wang Lin moved through the valley according to Pangdit-Sai's memory. Although he was fast, he didn't trigger any restrictions. This place was very vast and covered the entire valley. Most of the restrictions had collapsed, so even if there were caves inside, they were empty. One day later, Wang Lin stopped outside a valley. This valley was very ordinary, but when he closed his eyes, a gloomy feeling entered his mind. The valley was covered in weeds, and there were signs of restrictions being broken. This was Sima Mo's cave in Pangdit-Sai's memory. After carefully observing, Wang Lin walked forward. When he got close to the entrance of the valley, he stopped, and his eyes lit up. A moment later, his right hand formed a seal, and a restriction appeared. He waved his hand, and the restriction landed before him. In an instant, the valley trembled. It was as if a painting had been torn apart before Wang Lin and was pushed back. Something changed in front of him. The originally ordinary valley suddenly turned purple. The weeds on the ground disappeared and were replaced by black soil. Even the entrance changed. A black light screen appeared, preventing anyone from moving forward. There were 2 layers of restrictions on the valley. The first layer was only an illusion. No matter how you broke it, you couldn't enter the real cave. What Pangdit-Sai and the others had broken was the first layer. But with Wang Lin's skill and restrictions, he was able to see some clues. He raised his hand and caused the second layer to appear, revealing the true appearance of the valley. Staring at the light screen, Wang Lin couldn't help but bitterly smile. This light screen was the same as the one where Master Ashenpine had taken the jade bottle. It was a time restriction. Placing his right hand on the light screen, Wang Lin pondered for a bit. Based on his understanding of restrictions, he estimated that this restriction had existed for nearly 20,000 years. Although it couldn't compare to the restriction where the jade bottle was, it was still very difficult to break. The only way to break it would be to use up a lot of treasures. Looking at the light screen, Wang Lin began to ponder. His eyes lit up and he waved his right hand, causing a jade to appear. This jade was the one he had obtained from Sima Mo on the Wild Continent. I obtained Sima Mo's belongings on the Wild Continent, and now I see Sima Mo's cave here. Interesting. Wang Lin's expression was unpredictable, and he didn't reveal any emotions. Holding the jade, he slowly put it into the light curtain. Just at this moment, the light curtain began to tremble violently. Countless ripples echoed and gathered toward the jade in Wang Lin's hand. In the end, there was a bang. The light curtain that couldn't be broken unexpectedly began to expand with the jade as the center. A crack that could be passed through appeared. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. After pondering for a bit, he stepped into the crack. After he entered, the crack closed and the ripples disappeared, returning to normal. An illusion appeared above the light screen. The purple valley returned to normal. The black dirt on the ground was covered, and countless weeds appeared. Everything was exactly the same as before Wang Lin arrived. After passing through the light screen, what appeared in front of Wang Lin was a field of lush green grass. The valley wasn't very big, only about 1,000 feet wide. However, there were 9 caves on the walls of the valley, and each cave had a closed stone door. There was also a skeleton in the valley. This skeleton was sitting cross-legged against the wall in front of Wang Lin. Its head was lowered, and its index finger was pointing at the ground. In front of it were 3 jade slips. Wang Lin silently looked at the skeleton, and his pupils shrank. The skeleton's bones were faintly emitting a 7-colored light. Wang Lin slowly walked next to the skeleton and squatted down. He carefully looked at the skeleton a few times before picking up the first jade on the ground. His divine sense entered it. I didn't expect to return here. That year, Uncle Master, me, and many others followed his request and found that mysterious spatial rift. That spatial rift was very strange, and it gave off 7-colored light. It was very beautiful. Junior sister really liked rainbows, and I promised her that I would bring her rainbows and fill her room. We entered that spatial rift and entered this terrifying nightmare. However, at that time, I didn't have any foresight. Here, we entered the deepest part and found that terrifying existence. We learned of a huge secret that could shock the entire cultivation world. Not just my cloud sea, but all heaven, the summoned river, and the brilliant void. It was an unimaginable secret that could bring disaster to all heaven, the summoned river, and the brilliant void. However, it was all too late. We personally destroyed hope. We were sinners. Master kicked me out of the sect, and I knew he couldn't do anything about it. I left with my fellow sect members and was lost in the fog of the cloud sea. Looking at the fog, I felt fear. Because of that secret, I didn't expect that when we were in despair, the endless calamity would appear again. We escaped once, but in the end, we still have to return here. Perhaps I won't be able to leave this place in my life. Is this fate? I believe in fate. I believe in fate. The double monthly votes begins. Brothers, I'm begging for your help. Chapter 1197. Wang Lin carefully scanned the jade slip with his divine sense. It's already been 3 years. Second junior brother is dead, and third junior brother is also dead. They become lost ones, drifting aimlessly in this place. I saw them 4 days ago, but they don't recognize me anymore. They walk past me. I can't let things go on like this. I have to think of a way. This is the 6th year I've been here. I found a jade slip with a restriction called time. I have to learn it. Marshall Uncle left. He went deep into this place and told me that there was a voice calling out to me. This is the 11th year I've been here. I've gained some understanding of the time restriction. How long has it been? It should be 30 years. The enlightened ones attacked again, and I clearly saw Marshall Uncle among them. They took 6th junior brother and 5th junior brother away. I finally comprehended the time restriction. In a mountain valley, I and the remaining members of my sect set up a true time restriction grand formation. 9th junior brother sacrificed his own lifespan to strengthen the time restriction grand formation. Before he died, he asked me to bring his corpse back to the heaven-breaking sect. I agree, but could I do it? The time-sealing formation has protected this valley. This place has become my home. However, I haven't found the warmth of a home. The only thing I can do is watch as familiar faces gradually become strangers. I can't continue like this. I have to think of a way to save them. Wang Lin silently pondered as he raised his head and looked at the skeleton before him. The content of the jade ended here. His gaze fell on the 2nd jade slip. He picked it up and sent his divine sense inside. It's been 100 years. There is no day or night here, so it's impossible to calculate the exact time. However, Based on the strength of the time restriction formation, it should be 100 years. However, why do I feel like it's been 1,000 years? Junior brother Sure, San destroyed his body and his Tao disappeared. He couldn't withstand this life that was like a prison. The people around me have all become lost ones or enlightened ones. The only ones left are me, 16th brother, and 4th martial uncle. I know we are sinners. Perhaps this is our punishment, but I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Today is an unforgettable day. In the 130 years since I came here, the defying ones have appeared for the first time. 4th martial uncle has become a defying one. They're all gone. There's only me and 16th brother left. But I've thought of a way to save them. I must try it, even if I die. After bidding farewell to 16th brother, I walked out of the valley. I brought 2nd junior brother and 3rd junior brother back from the lost ones, as well as all of our fellow disciples who had become lost ones. I entered the depths of this mountain range and found 5th junior brother and 6th junior brother who had become enlightened ones in the mist and brought them back. I went to the deepest part of this place. I am very familiar with the path there. I found 2nd martial uncle and brought him back. That was the end of the jade slip. Wang Lin put it down in a daze. After pondering for a long time, he picked up the 3rd jade slip. I've been here for more than 300 years. I've been all the places I can go. I found a bead that can seal the spells of the defying ones. I don't know what it is, but in order to save 4th martial uncle, I searched most of the places and found some. This is the 4th time I've entered the depths of this place. I know that 4th uncle is there. Facing those powerful defying ones, I used the bead to seal all of their divine abilities. After searching for several years, I finally found 4th uncle. But I didn't expect him to be here as well. I failed. I was nailed into my body by a 7-colored nail. This nail is very strange. As soon as it enters my body, it immediately melts. I finally escaped. In a blur, I returned to the valley. My consciousness gradually dissipated, and a crazy thought kept appearing in my mind. This crazy thought made me want to kill everything I saw. However, aside from me, the only living thing here was 16th brother. I chased 16th brother out of the valley and gave him my identity token and the beast bone pill recipe. I told him to leave the valley and come back 10 years later. 16th brother left. I sat in the valley and looked at the 7-colored sky outside, waiting for the final madness to come. 2nd junior brother, 3rd junior brother, and all fellow disciples. As long as any of you awaken and look at my jade slip, you'll be able to know everything that has happened in this place during the past few hundred years. Moreover, I've collected many of those strange stone pearls, and I've vaguely noticed an inkling on them. These stone pearls aren't formed naturally, but were refined by someone. Their size and weight are exactly the same, and there's not the slightest difference. It seems like someone has been ceaselessly using a special divine ability to create these stone pearls here a very, very long time ago. My consciousness is becoming more and more blurry, but I have a feeling that there is a force sucking in my soul. I don't know why, but at this moment, my consciousness actually became clear and a crazy idea emerged in my mind. Maybe I should do this. If I succeed, I won't go crazy. I will be reborn. My consciousness seemed to have left this place and extended to a strange space. I saw a person, a middle-aged man in a black robe. There was a round mark between his eyebrows. He said his name was the Sovereign. Wang Lin's face turned pale, and he gasped. He subconsciously took a few steps back as he stared at the jade and the skeleton in his hand. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Sovereign. This name wasn't unfamiliar to Wang Lin. In Celestial Emperor Qing Lin's cave, he learned that there was a powerful existence among the people of the outer realm named the Sovereign. However, he felt that this existence named the Sovereign was very far away from him and was a powerhouse from the same era as Qing Lin. It had been a long time since then. However, Wang Lin didn't expect to see information about the Sovereign in the Cloud Sea Star system, in the 7-colored realm, and in the Jade in the Valley. Closing his eyes, Wang Lin couldn't help but think of the time when he and Shimizu battled Wang Yu in the void. As a result, The void collapsed, and two mysterious cultivators, one old and one young, appeared. Those two were people of the outer realm. If not for the appearance of the heaven-defying bead, he would have been captured by them. When that old man saw the heaven-defying bead, he called me the sovereign of the sealed realm. Wang Lin opened his eyes and took a deep breath. The information he had obtained from the three jades was like a raging sea in his mind, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. This seven-colored realm is related to Tian Yunzi and the sovereign. When the seven-colored nail enters one's body, it can indeed make one go crazy and want to kill everything they see. Back then, senior brother Shimizu said that before the celestial realm collapsed, he was in closed-door cultivation, but he suddenly went crazy. Even he didn't know why. He also went crazy. Also, the old divine Emperor Rosefinch said that after senior brother Shimizu went to the Cultivation Alliance, he went crazy again. What kind of secret is there? It must be related to the sovereign. Tian Yunzi, Shimizu, Sima Mo, the sovereign. Wang Lin silently pondered. After a long time, he let out a sigh and looked at Sima Mo's skeleton with a complicated expression. This person's skeleton was here, and there were no signs of damage. This meant that Sima Mo didn't go crazy in the end. Since this person didn't go crazy, then the thought related to the sovereign must have succeeded. I didn't expect this to be the spatial rift the heaven-breaking sect found. It is also the place where the beast bone recipe first appeared. However, why did the beast bone and jade end up outside? Could it be that Brother 16th left this place and caused the jade and pill recipe to reappear in the Cloud Sea-Star system? Also, the person mentioned in the jade. Who is he? According to what he said, the heaven-breaking sect didn't know about this spatial rift and only found this place after listening to him. And Sima Mo unexpectedly saw that mysterious person here hundreds of years later. Wang Lin rubbed the spot between his eyebrows. The more he knew, the more confused he became. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the 9 caves sealed by the mountain rocks. His body flickered, and he arrived before the first cave. He looked at the mountain rock, and his eyes lit up. After a long time, he placed his right hand on the rock and gently injected origin energy into it. Suddenly, a rumbling sound reverberated through the air. The mountain rock slowly moved to the sides and opened up. The moment the cave opened, the smell of decay rushed out. This cave wasn't large, only 100 feet wide. There was a flash of gray light in the air, and there were 10 beads the size of a baby's fist floating in the air. Each bead had a faint rune on it that would occasionally flash. However, the light was also gray, so unless one looked closely, it would be difficult to notice. The moment Wang Lin saw the bead, he was shocked. He immediately recognized it as the bead that Master Ashenpine had used to summon the Defying Ones. The contents of the jade are indeed true. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his right hand reached out to grab one of the beads. His divine sense spread out, and he carefully looked at it. With one look, Wang Lin's expression changed greatly. His mind trembled as if thunder was rumbling in his ears. When Master Ashenpine took out the bead to attack, he was very fast and couldn't be distracted during battle. Wang Lin's gaze only swept by and didn't have the chance to carefully examine it like now. Heaven-defying bead. The first update arrived. Chapter 1198. Wang Lin's origin soul trembled as he stared at the bead in his hand. He, who had the heaven-defying bead his entire life, couldn't be wrong. Whether it was the size, weight, or even the aura, it was exactly the same as the heaven-defying bead. The only difference was that there was no 5-element pattern on the bead, only a blurry mark. I've collected a lot of those strange stone beads. These stone beads aren't natural, they were refined by someone. Their size and weight are exactly the same. It's as if someone used a special spell to make these stone beads a long time ago. The contents of the jade echoed in Wang Lin's mind as he stared at the bead. His breathing gradually calmed down. These are beads made to imitate the heaven-defying bead. Someone tried to make the heaven-defying bead here a long time ago. Wang Lin closed his eyes and suddenly opened them after a long time. To be able to make it so similar, That person must have personally seen the heaven-defying bead or even controlled it. Wang Lin rubbed the spot between his eyebrows, and his eyes lit up. What great courage to want to refine the heaven-defying bead. Could this person also be the sovereign? Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. He had a feeling that he would soon cross paths with the sovereign and the outer realm. Perhaps the people of the outer realm already know of my existence. After all, that old man from the outer realm didn't die. A chill appeared in Wang Lin's heart. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin waved his sleeves and collected all 10 beads. After checking them one by one, he found that there were spell fluctuations inside each bead. It was obvious that their spells had been sealed. These beads are all failures, or else they wouldn't be casually thrown here. I don't know why these failed beads can seal spells. Wang Lin left his mark on the beads and put them away in his storage space. After searching through the first cave, he didn't find anything else, so he walked out. As he entered and exited, Wang Lin felt as if there was a huge mountain pressing down on him. His expression was extremely gloomy. In particular, when he thought about the battle with Master Ashen Pine, the spell he used to summon the spirit of the seventh formation was very similar to that of the person from the outer realm. Just who is this Master Ashen Pine? Wang Lin walked out of the cave and looked at the seven-colored sky outside the time restriction. He naturally thought back to when he met the people from the outer realm in the void, and that seven-colored light had appeared in the outer realm. The more he came into contact with and understood, the clearer Wang Lin became about this place, and the more confused he became. Silently withdrawing his gaze, Wang Lin arrived at the second cave dwelling. With a wave of his sleeve, the mountain rock outside the cave rumbled open, revealing the interior of the cave. A huge pill furnace took up more than half of the cave, and a large number of medicinal herbs were piled up around it. However, most of them had withered, and there were storage bags beside them. Although a lot of time had passed, and there was a large amount of dust on the ground, even the pill furnace could be left behind by wiping it with one's hand. After opening the storage bags one by one, Wang Lin was moved. These storage bags were all filled with medicinal herbs, and the amount was unimaginable. After leaving the cave, Wang Lin walked toward the third cave dwelling. There was a restriction left on the door to the third cave dwelling, but it wasn't the time restriction. After carefully looking at it for a long time, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and restrictions landed on the mountain rock. Popping sounds echoed and the mountain rock slowly moved away. In the third abode, there was a circular spell formation on the ground. Crystals were placed at the edge of the spell formation, allowing the spell formation to be constantly activated. 3 medicinal bottles floated above the spell formation, enveloping it, as if they were being nourished by the power of the crystals. Although the formation was still operating, the origin crystals around it hadn't been replaced for a long time. Many of them had become useless and could only barely keep the formation running. Looking at the 3 pill bottles, Wang Lin walked forward. He looked at the formation on the ground, but didn't do anything rash. The formation contained traces of the time restriction. Although it wasn't much, it was enough to increase the power of the formation. More importantly, Wang Lin could see some clues about the formation. In addition to ensuring that the pill inside would not be affected by the passage of time, it also had a defensive function. If the formation was forcibly opened, it would destroy the pill inside. Frowning, Wang Lin sat down cross-legged. He didn't look at the rest of the cave dwellings, but instead stared at the formation, his eyes shining with the light of augury. Gradually, the light in his eyes grew brighter. He raised his right hand and grabbed at the air. Immediately, an origin crystal flew out from his storage space. Holding the origin crystal, Wang Lin squeezed it with his right hand. The origin crystal immediately collapsed, and origin energy surged out like crazy. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal, and it was completely under his control. He pointed at the ground outside the formation, and the origin energy suddenly moved and fused with the ground. As Wang Lin waved his right hand, the origin energy on the ground moved and formed a 3-meter-wide, diamond-shaped formation. Shortly after, Wang Lin waved his right hand and a thin line separated from the diamond-shaped formation. It moved along the ground and connected with the formation inside the cave dwelling. After doing all this, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand quickly reached into the formation to grab the 3 pill bottles. At this moment, the formation suddenly released a powerful light that completely illuminated the cave dwelling. A destructive aura spread out and was about to rush toward the pill bottles. But immediately, the destructive aura paused for a moment. The strong light in the formation seemed to be guided and flowed into the rhombus-shaped formation through the thin lines connected to the formation. At this moment, Wang Lin had already grabbed the 3 jade bottles and quickly took them out. He retreated and left the cave in the blink of an eye. He appeared on the grass in the valley and sat down cross-legged. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the 3 pill bottles and his heart pounded. He had taken a huge risk just now. If he had made the slightest mistake, the 3 pill bottles would have collapsed and all the pills inside would have disappeared. These are pills left behind by Sima Mo and his fellow sect members, and they're stored like this. They are clearly extremely valuable. Wang Lin licked his lips and opened the first bottle. A medicinal fragrance wafted into his nose. There were 3 red pills inside the bottle, and a powerful beast soul fluctuation came from them. This caused even Wang Lin's origin soul to be attracted. Wang Lin poured out 1 pill and pinched it with 2 fingers. He held it in front of his eyes and carefully looked at it. Rank 11 pill. Wang Lin vaguely recognized it. After pondering a bit, he picked up the second bottle. The moment he opened it, a large amount of fog came out. This fog was divided into 2 parts, 1 black and 1 white. They surrounded each other and floated in the air. There was a pill inside each of the 2 clouds of fog. The fog soul pill refined by a rank 12 fog beast. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with ecstasy. He could only recognize rank 11 pills by feeling, but pills refined by rank 12 fog beasts were extremely rare in the Cloud Sea. Their characteristics were very clear, so he was able to recognize them at a glance. The reason the fog soul pill was rare was because very few people would give up the long-term benefits of obtaining origin crystals to refine a fog beast they caught into a pill. Wang Lin licked his lips, and his gaze fell on the last bottle. He scanned it with his divine sense, but he couldn't see anything wrong with it. After pondering for a bit, he slowly pulled out the cork. Just as a crack appeared on the bottle, an unimaginable shockwave spread out. This shockwave contained a heaven-shaking roar that couldn't be heard, but was clearly felt by divine sense. This roar was far more heaven-shaking than a rank 12 beast. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he didn't hesitate to seal the bottle. All of this happened in a flash. After sealing the bottle, Wang Lin's face was pale. He cultivated for a moment to recover, and then looked at the bottle with a serious expression. Sure, San rank pill. Wang Lin took a deep breath and carefully put away the other 2 bottles. He only left the first bottle and walked toward the cave with the pill furnace. Rank 11 pills could only be taken after reaching the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Otherwise, one's origin soul wouldn't be able to resist the soul of the beast inside. Their origin soul would dissipate and they would die after swallowing the pill. This was something everyone in the Cloud Sea knew. Pills could help increase one's domain, but one had to be extremely cautious. Wang Lin's actual cultivation level was only at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser, so he couldn't directly swallow a rank 11 pill. Therefore, he needed to refine it again. In the cave with the pill furnace, Wang Lin pondered a bit before a flame appeared in his left eye and entered the giant pill furnace. The furnace trembled and a rune appeared on it. It slowly began to rotate. Taking out a rank 11 pill, Wang Lin placed it inside the pill furnace. His right hand hit the void, and the fire inside the pill furnace surged as it continued to refine the pill inside. Second refinement was a method that cultivators in the Cloud Sea needed to master. This method was mainly to disperse the power of high-level pills. This method was closely related to the pill furnace. The better the pill furnace, the less power would dissipate. While Wang Lin was refining, the depths of the 7-colored realm were far beyond where Master Ashenpine was healing. The fog there was even thicker, making it impossible to see anything clearly. There was an altar here that was shrouded in fog. At this moment, there was a sudden flash of light on the altar. This light actually penetrated the surrounding fog, causing the fog to slowly move outwards, revealing an empty space. A crack more than 10 feet long silently appeared on the altar. There were countless bolts of lightning moving along the edge of the crack, and it gradually became larger and larger. 3 people walked out from inside. These 3 people's clothes were obviously different from the Cloud Sea cultivators. What was even more strange was that there was a clear mark between their eyebrows. The man in front had a bolt of lightning between his eyebrows. One of the 2 behind him had a crescent moon mark between his eyebrows, and the last person had a fire mark between his eyebrows. This is the spatial rift you found. The youth with the crescent moon mark looked around and revealed a hint of excitement in his eyes. I'm writing the 3rd chapter. Please wait a moment. Chapter 1199. The moment these 3 strange people arrived in the 7-colored realm, the 7-colored fog around Master Ashen Pine slowly gathered until it completely surrounded his origin soul. Strands of white lightning came out from the statue below him and fused with the 7-colored fog to fuse with his origin soul. Master Ashen Pine's body gradually condensed and formed a new body. This body gave off a 7-colored glow and flashed with lightning. There was a faint lightning mark between his eyebrows. He suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a gloomy gaze. You forced the old man to take this step. If the old man doesn't get revenge for this, then I'm not human. He charged forward like a bolt of lightning. In the blink of an eye, he pierced through the fog and flew toward the mountain range. This person named Lou was injured by my 7-color nail. Even if he didn't die, he must be dying. I just don't know where he is hiding. However, it doesn't matter. If the old man wants to know, it will be as easy as flipping his hand. Master Ashen Pine sneered as his right hand reached to the void. A crack to his storage space opened and a bead flew out. Summon Defying One. Master Ashen Pine bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a drop of blood onto the bead. The bead immediately absorbed the 7-colored light and collapsed in the blink of an eye. The moment it collapsed, a powerful aura spread out and an illusory figure appeared between the heavens and earth. The appearance of this illusory person couldn't be seen clearly, but his eyes revealed clarity. It was as if nothing in the world could escape his gaze, and when one looked into his eyes, one would have the misconception that all the secrets in one's body were seen through. Master Ashen Pine looked at the blurry figure and said, "Where is he?" The blurry figure closed its eyes. After a long time, it slowly opened its eyes and looked at Master Ashen Pine. Master Ashen Pine's mind trembled and an image was forcibly squeezed into his mind. When he saw it, he frowned. Sima Mo's cave. He was able to break the restriction of the cave, even though he was seriously injured. Master Ashen Pine pondered a bit. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes, and he charged forward. In the valley where Sima Mo's cave mansion was located, Wang Lin didn't focus all his energy on alchemy. Instead, he cleaned up the first cave mansion. After setting up a large number of restrictions, he expanded the size of the cave mansion before opening his storage space and releasing the mosquito beasts. The purple mosquito king looked even more ferocious. After it flew out, its cold eyes looked at Wang Lin with determination. It was connected to Wang Lin, so it knew Wang Lin's plan. It hissed softly. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the purple mosquito king was swept into the cave abode's restriction. With enough origin crystals, it will be fine. Wang Lin took out the large amount of bee souls he had obtained in the Cloud Sea Star system and the mutated bee souls he had nurtured on the continent of Imoluo. He placed them inside the cave. Then he took out tens of thousands of origin crystals and placed them on the restriction to seal this place. I'll use the 5 poison sex method of refining mutated bee souls to forcefully increase the mosquito bee strength and transform it into a stronger mosquito king. Only then will I be able to control the large amount of mosquito beasts in the wind celestial realm. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out inside the cave. He clearly saw the purple mosquito king charging at the bee souls with a tyrannical aura. It continued to fight and devour them. At the same time, The origin crystals turned into dense origin energy that entered the mosquito beast bodies. After leaving a strand of divine sense to keep watch, Wang Lin pondered a bit and then went to where the pill furnace was. Wang Lin sat down next to the pill furnace and continued to control the fire to refine pills. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. The fire inside the pill furnace gradually dissipated, and the fragrance of medicine filled the air. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his right hand reached out. The lid of the pill furnace opened, and a large amount of mist came out. The mist gradually disappeared, and a pool of golden liquid floated in the air. When Wang Lin moved the air, the liquid flew toward Wang Lin and was put into 3 small bottles. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin looked at the restriction outside the valley. He picked up a small bottle and drank a small mouthful of the golden liquid. The moment the liquid entered his body, it turned into a cool feeling that circulated through his body. He could faintly hear the roar of a beast. Wang Lin closed his eyes and calmly cultivated. He silently comprehended the comprehension of the heavens and earth from the beast souls inside the pill. In this strange state, Wang Lin forgot about time. His mind was filled with searching for the laws of the heavens and earth. It was as if he had become the incarnation of a fierce beast and experienced all kinds of struggles to survive. As he searched, he verified his true and false domain. Wang Lin was like a passerby as he constantly separated Tao intent from the beast souls. Outside Wang Lin's body, the environment around him seemed to distort and change. This change became faster and faster, causing everything to become unreal. After a long time, Wang Lin reached out with his right hand and picked up the small bottle again. He drank a mouthful and continued to immerse himself in the constant search and comprehension. Gradually, more and more Tao intent appeared outside his body. If he wanted to, he could casually choose a fierce beast to comprehend and use it to increase his cultivation level. However, the consequence of doing so would be that his Tao heart would become chaotic. After all, he didn't comprehend his own domain, but obtained it through the beast souls. This kind of cultivation level was not something Wang Lin wanted. What he wanted was to constantly verify his own truth and falsehood through the enlightenment of the beast souls. He wanted to comprehend the heavenly Tao through the distinction between truth and falsehood. What he took from a vicious beast soul was the trace of thoughts born from sensing the heavens and earth. This was the essence of the vicious beast soul. This sort of thoughts was blurry, but the more it contained, the more the vicious beast soul would be able to break through to the next level and finally take human form. Time passed. Wang Lin had finished drinking the first bottle of medicinal liquid. His enlightenment continued, and the distortions around him gradually spread out, filling the entire valley. If anyone else were here, their Tao heart would be thrown into chaos. This was because the distortions in the valley contained far too many Tao intents that Wang Lin had separated out and discarded. Without falsehood, there can be no truth. Without truth, how can there be falsehood? There's actually no need to completely separate truth and falsehood. Wang Lin picked up the second bottle and drank a mouthful. His eyes shone with enlightenment, and he closed them as he continued to verify. Gradually, as he gained enlightenment of the boundless Tao, more and more of it filled the valley. Eventually, it passed through the restrictive shield and began to linger outside the valley, causing the valley itself to distort. This scene couldn't be seen with the naked eye, but any cultivator at the soul formation stage or above could clearly sense that the Tao intents here were formed by the laws of heaven and earth. However, if you looked closely, you would find that they were actually false. It was very difficult to distinguish between truth and falsehood. Once you fell into it, it would be like falling into an abyss, and you would be unable to escape. More and more Tao intents appeared and spread out. In the blink of an eye, the area 10,000 feet wide was covered, and the world began to distort. Inside the valley, Wang Lin drank the third bottle of medicinal liquid. He forgot everything and began to search for his own Tao in this endless world. Vaguely, a vague voice appeared in his mind. This voice was like a murmur, and it gradually became clearer, enlightened, imprisoned in the Tao of the heavens. All living beings need to go through immeasurable tribulations to leave the deep prison. All living beings must move forward immeasurably, solve the current world, break free from the will of the heavens, obtain the Tao of the next life, lock the fate of the heavens, and seal the underworld dynasty. All living beings cannot reach the true Tao. They will sink into the sea of bitterness and forever lose the true Tao. All living beings cannot reach the true Tao. They will sink into the sea of bitterness and forever lose the true Tao. These words continued to echo in Wang Lin's mind. More and more Tao intents appeared outside the valley. They spread out from 10,000 feet to 100,000 feet until they covered a small portion of the seven-colored realm. Master Ashenpine was 10,000 feet away from Sima Mo's cave. His face was extremely pale as he stared ahead, but his body remained motionless. This was the second day he had been here, but before he could move forward, he felt the endless Tao intents here. These Tao intents were like a giant vortex that could absorb all domains. They were pulled into Wang Lin's domain through a special method. The true and false domains were the second transformation of Wang Lin's Tao. What he was pursuing had already surpassed the domains of those at the same cultivation level or higher than him. Master Ashenpine's face was pale as he sat on the ground and stabilized his mind. He continued to resist the invasion of the chaotic Tao intents and the suction force from the invisible vortex. He didn't notice that in the distance, a group of lost people with no hair and confused eyes were slowly walking toward him. Their pace wasn't fast, but every step they took seemed to shrink the ground. They soon arrived, but they didn't close in. They just stood there and looked ahead in a daze, as if they were seeking Tao. Even further away, the enlightened ones that were floating inside the fog all came out of the fog and floated toward the valley Wang Lin was in. Their strange murmurs also slowly came from the valley. All of this happened with the valley Wang Lin was in as the center. A Tao sublimation that affected the entire seven-colored realm slowly began. As more and more Tao intents were abandoned by Wang Lin, the entire seven-colored realm seemed to distort. The lost one's eyes became even more confused as they looked ahead. They could vaguely see the Tao intents being absorbed by them. The enlightened ones arrived and floated in the air. The endless murmuring stopped at this moment. They all looked at the valley and closed their eyes as if they were comprehending Wang Lin's Tao. Even the rank 12 fog beasts turned into different fierce beasts. They didn't let out any roars as they flew through the sky. They surrounded the valley and comprehended Wang Lin's Tao with the enlightened ones. Thinking about the plot of the seven-colored realm was very tiring. The plot of the seven-colored realm was a very important link, and it had to be written well. This made it even more tiring. The room was filled with smoke, and the more he smelled it, the more dizzy he felt. When he woke up, he was exhausted. Chapter 1200. Tao, what was Tao? Wang Lin's life and death reincarnation, the cycle of karma, the change between true and false. Each was a Tao that he had comprehended on his own, or perhaps it was a change in his thinking. From an unknown little cultivator, he had walked all the way to where he was now. This change was also the growth of Wang Lin's life. From a life and death reincarnation cycle, he had seen through life and death. Therefore, he could struggle in every crisis and seek life in the midst of death. In the end, it gave birth to a rebellious intent in his heart. He dared to go against the heavens and become a heaven-defying cultivator, cutting through the stars and cutting through the moon, lowering his head and stepping on the sky. This was the path of a heaven-defying cultivator. He had seen through life and death and was no longer afraid. All of this was the obsession and thoughts that the life and death reincarnation domain brought to Wang Lin. It was precisely because he had thoughts that he could become strong. However, heaven and earth were heartless, harming the thoughts of all living beings. Because of the thoughts of all living beings, it formed a circle and formed countless Taos, allowing people to comprehend. This was the heavenly Tao giving to all living beings, allowing all living beings to cultivate according to its will. This was the path of following the rules, the path of cultivation. Wang Lin would not enter this path. After life and death was karma. After the first transformation of Wang Lin's domain, he was like a great scholar in the mortal world. His thoughts had an epiphany. He was no longer afraid of life and death and pursued the true meaning of this Tao at a deeper level. The cycle of karma was like this. Seeing through karma and seeing through karma, he understood that everything in the world had its own karma. In the pursuit of karma, Wang Lin's life reached a peak. As his thoughts rose, he strengthened his Tao heart and condensed a deeper level of Tao intent. In his eyes, the world was no longer the same. The other sky was not my sky. In other people's eyes, the world was vast, and they didn't know where the end was. However, in Wang Lin's eyes, the end of the world wasn't important. The heavens were karmic cause, and the earth was karmic effect. This world was karma, and what he wanted to do was step out of the karma furnace. He wanted to know what kind of world was beyond this world. Wang Lin, who had reached this step, had already reached the limit of his intent realm. Just like the circle he had drawn around Li Qianmei and Lu Yunsong. In reality, he was also inside the circle. However, with the appearance of Qing Lin and the possession of the heaven-defying pearl, Wang Lin's karma realm had reached its limit. His intent realm had risen, and he had begun to explore the origin of true and false. The Tao of true and false was a deeper level of comprehension, and ordinary people didn't have the qualifications or opportunity to explore it all. This was already touching the edge of the heavenly Tao, and taking a step further would lead directly to the core. Over the countless years, it wasn't that there weren't any cultivators who had reached this level in terms of concepts. It was just that there were too few of them. Concepts determined one's cultivation, and different levels of concepts would similarly bring about a tremendous difference to one's cultivation. What Wang Lin pursued was where the Grand Tao was. Although his goal seemed to be the same as other people's, in reality, because of his comprehension of concepts, the end he saw had already surpassed other people's goals. Wang Lin drank all the medicinal liquid from the 3 rank 11 pills, but his comprehension didn't end. The crack to his storage space opened with a thought, and bottles of pills flew out. These pills came from Peng Lai, and there were rank 8, 9, and 10 pills inside. Forgetting time, Wang Lin picked up the pills one by one, but didn't swallow them. The moment the pills got close to Wang Lin, they immediately collapsed. The beast souls inside were sucked into the vortex, formed by countless Tao intents to be verified by Wang Lin. More and more Tao intents spread out in all directions. The confused eyes of the lost ones outside the valley gradually gained a hint of light. The illusory bodies of the enlightened ones floating in the air gradually became corporeal. The ferocious aura of the rank 12 beasts was no longer there. Master Ashen Pine struggled bitterly to protect his mind. He felt like he could collapse at any moment inside this storm of Tao intents. More and more Tao intents appeared outside the valley. The entire 7-colored realm seemed to be filled with the Tao intents that Wang Lin had abandoned. It distorted as if there were countless thoughts colliding inside the 7-colored realm. As it spread, even the depths of the 7-colored realm were the same. As he continued to comprehend, Wang Lin's mind gradually floated out of his body. He saw the valley he was in, and he saw himself sitting in the valley. He saw the pills flying toward him and collapsing one by one. His mind slowly spread out with the valley as the center. The enlightened ones closest to him trembled when Wang Lin's mind swept by. The lost ones and fierce beasts were all like this. Even Master Ashen Pine's Tao heart collapsed. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with confusion. None of this attracted Wang Lin's interest at all. His mind continued to spread out, and he saw a burly man sitting in a cave on the top of a mountain. This burly man's eyes were filled with fear as he stared ahead. His mouth was open, but he couldn't speak. Even after Wang Lin left, the burly man still hadn't recovered from his shock. Wang Lin's mind circled the entire outer region. He passed by the caves, and headed toward the wall-like mountain range. However, along the way, he saw the life and death restriction and annihilation restriction fuse together. He saw the pale-faced old woman in green robes meditating with her eyes closed. The old woman's Tao heart was in chaos, and there were faint signs of it splitting apart. Her appearance changed rapidly. Sometimes she was old, sometimes she was ancient, and sometimes she was middle-aged. The old woman didn't make Wang Lin stop. His mind continued to spread into the fog inside the mountain range. The thick fog couldn't stop his mind from spreading. He saw two mountain peaks covered by a barrier inside the fog. The time restriction also couldn't stop Wang Lin's mind. The first mountain was empty except for a stone tablet. There were no words on the stone tablet, but it gave off an ancient aura. However, in Wang Lin's eyes, that ancient aura gradually dissipated. The entire stone tablet was like a magical treasure. As Wang Lin's mind spread out, he reached the second mountain that was surrounded by the time restriction. He saw a huge stone statue outside the mountain and a huge stone door in the middle of the mountain. There was a lightning mark on the door. His mind passed through the stone door and saw colorful lights floating inside. Each of them contained a sealed beast soul, from rank 7 all the way up to rank Shursan. He also saw a young woman who looked very similar to the old woman in the cave. Her face was ashen as she sat cross-legged. She seemed to be meditating, but her body was trembling. Wang Lin also saw a hidden space inside the mountain. There he found the stone tablet once more, and he also found the skeleton that was pinned down by 2 7-colored nails. At this moment, his mind was completely attracted by the skeleton, and his gaze landed on the densely packed characters carved on the skeleton. It was as if there was a rumble of thunder in his mind. Wang Lin's originally calm state was suddenly disturbed, and a drastic change occurred. His mind was focused on the skeleton, and the characters seemed to be deeply engraved in his mind. These words were the same as the voice that echoed in his mind. Worship to the path of cultivation. Wang Lin's mind fluctuated for an unknown amount of time. He was at a loss as he left this place. He passed through the fog and entered the depths of the 7-colored realm for the first time. There was also fog here, but it was even denser. However, it still couldn't stop Wang Lin's mind. He saw 3 strangely dressed youths inside the fog. He had seen the one with the crescent moon tattoo before. The youth with the lightning mark slowly said, "This place is very mysterious. What makes me feel strange is that I can feel the aura of my Scatter Thunder Clan's ancestor here." Behind him, the youth with the flame mark on his forehead rubbed his brows. His expression was very gloomy. He calmly said, "It really is strange. After entering this place, I kept feeling something calling out to me, especially that zone tongue. I actually felt like it wanted to leave my body." The youth with the crescent moon tattoo cautiously looked around. His eyes lit up and he was about to speak, but at this moment his expression changed. Wang Lin's mind swept past the 3 youths. At this instant, the youth with the lightning mark trembled and his mind rumbled like thunder. The mark between his eyebrows began to flash violently. The youth with the crescent moon tattoo trembled as if he had thought of something, but he wasn't sure. His face was pale and a huge wave was set off in his mind. The most shocked was the youth with the fire tattoo between his eyebrows. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense swept by, he felt as if he had lost all his strength. An indescribable sense of awe filled his body, and the fire tattoo between his eyebrows began to burn as if it was going to burn his body to ashes. Fortunately, this feeling only lasted for a moment. After Wang Lin left, the pain was no longer there. After a long time, the 3 of them looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. What a powerful mind! The youth with the lightning mark between his eyebrows gasped. The youth with the flame mark between his eyebrows was pale, but his eyes were filled with greed. The youth with the flame mark between his eyebrows was pale, but his eyes were filled with greed as he said, "There must be an ancestor of my Fire Sparrow clan here. That mental power just now must have come from my ancestor. Otherwise, my clan tattoo wouldn't have changed like this." Only the last person, the youth with the crescent moon mark between his eyebrows, remained silent. There was fear in his eyes. When Wang Lin swept past him, a nightmarish scene that he didn't want to remember appeared once again. Could it be him? Impossible. How could he appear here? The youth's body trembled. The youth with the flame mark between his eyebrows licked his lips and slowly said, "Although this person's mind is powerful, if the three of us open the seal and join forces, we might have a chance. I hope the two of you can help me." Chapter 1201. Wang Lin's divine sense swept past the three young men and spread into the distance. Gradually, he saw another mountain. This mountain was very tall, and there were no restrictions around it. Even the fog was far away, as if it didn't dare to get close. Wang Lin's divine sense arrived, but just as his divine sense was about to enter the mountain, an extremely powerful divine sense rushed out from the mountain. This divine sense rushed out and collided with Wang Lin. A silent rumble echoed in Wang Lin's mind. His originally confused thoughts became clear at this moment. It's been a long time since I've seen such a pure domain. A gloomy divine sense came from the mountain. Shortly after, an even more powerful divine sense swept out from the mountain and headed straight for Wang Lin. At this instant, the world changed colors, and even the seven-colored light seemed to retreat. The divine sense turned into a giant hand and mercilessly reached toward Wang Lin's mind. However, the moment it grabbed at Wang Lin's divine sense quickly shrank. A large amount of illusions appeared around him, and it was as if the world had become a blur at this moment. There was a soft sound of surprise. At the same time, a white-haired old man flew out from the mountain. He stared at the void and rushed out. He raised his right hand and slapped the void in front of him. A thunderous rumble echoed, and Wang Lin trembled. The surrounding illusions immediately collapsed and completely dissipated. "You dare to use a mere illusion in front of the old man? Since you've delivered yourself to me, then you can stay. This pure domain is 100 times better than those enlightened ones." As the old man spoke, he closed in even more. His right hand seemed to be able to cover the sky as it reached toward Wang Lin. His palm seemed to contain a powerful suction force that caused Wang Lin to distort and be pulled back. Wang Lin rapidly shrank and turned into an illusionary figure that stared at the old man. Wang Lin didn't say a word and waved his right hand. All the Tao intent that Wang Lin had given up suddenly rushed toward Wang Lin from all directions. This Tao intent was endless, and as it closed in, it stirred up the fog in the seven-colored realm and caused the seven-colored light in the sky to dim. In an instant, the amount of Tao intent around Wang Lin reached a terrifying degree. As he waved his right hand, these Tao intent formed a giant vortex that swept by. The old man's right hand immediately stopped, and his expression became serious. I was comprehending a domain, and my mind was scattered. I didn't mean to disturb fellow cultivators' cultivation. Wang Lin's body was surrounded by endless Tao intent. There are even more Tao intents coming from the distance to protect Wang Lin's figure. The old man stared at Wang Lin's figure, and his pupils shrank. He had never seen this kind of mind spell that could condense so many Tao intents. After pondering a bit, the old man let out a cold snort and slowly said, "Only this time. There won't be a next time." He waved his sleeves and returned to the mountain. Wang Lin retreated. Surrounded by countless Tao intents, he crossed the earth and returned to his body in the valley. A moment later, he slowly opened his eyes, and there was a flash of coldness in them. If the old man had insisted on keeping his mind, then perhaps Wang Lin would have used all his Tao intent to counterattack. Standing up, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. The countless Tao intents rushed into the valley and gathered at Wang Lin's finger. These Tao intents rushed through the seven-colored realm and continued to gather until a black ball of light appeared above Wang Lin's right hand. Shortly after, while Wang Lin was comprehending Tao, all the abandoned Tao intents gathered inside the black ball of light. At this moment, the lost ones outside the valley were filled with confusion once more and scattered. There were also the enlightened ones. Their murmurs echoed once more and gradually drifted away. Even the rank 12 beasts seemed to become sober and roared as they left. In the blink of an eye, everything outside the valley returned to normal. Master Ashenpine's face was pale, and he quickly retreated. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and popping sounds came from the black, bald head. It turned into a black crystal and landed in Wang Lin's hand. Holding the crystal, Wang Lin carefully looked at it. This was the Tao intent he had separated from countless pills. It was comparable to a very powerful treasure. If this exploded, even a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator's Tao heart would collapse. What is he guarding? Wang Lin pondered. In his mind, he saw that the old man in the depths of the valley had some misgivings at the last moment and didn't act. This old man was at the late stage of Nirvana Shatterer, but he stayed at the mountain. If he wasn't guarding something or plotting something, Wang Lin wouldn't believe it. There are also those 3 young cultivators. I have seen one of them before. I didn't expect him to appear here. Wang Lin frowned. However, since this place is related to the sovereign, then it is understandable for him to appear here. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. His mind was calm, and his eyes were deep, as if they contained the Tao of the heavens. My domain broke through the moment I saw the scripture on the skeleton. I only need a bit more time to reach the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. Wang Lin took a deep breath as his gaze fell on the time restriction outside the valley. He got up and walked out. The restriction rippled, and Wang Lin appeared outside the valley. He looked at where Master Ashenpine had escaped to, and his eyes lit up. He moved like lightning and charged forward. This Master Ashenpine has recovered from his injuries and unexpectedly found me. He hates me to the bone, so I can't let him escape. The answer to what the liquid inside the jade bottle is also on him. In addition, I have to find the way to leave this place from his origin soul. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he chased after Master Ashenpine. Along the way, Master Ashenpine's face became even more pale and his heart was filled with anger. He originally thought that since he had recovered from his injuries, killing that person named Lu would be easy. At most, it would be a bit troublesome to break the restriction. However, he didn't expect that he wouldn't even see that person's figure. Just by getting within 10,000 feet, his Tao heart would be affected and his mind would almost collapse. When he was outside the valley, he was like a lonely boat in the raging waves. It was extremely dangerous, and when Wang Lin's gaze swept past him, his mind was shaken. He vaguely guessed that Wang Lin had gained enlightenment in his domain and was about to increase his cultivation level. Thinking about this, a chill appeared in Master Ashenpine's heart. Before Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, he could only fight with Wang Lin with heavy injuries. However, now that Wang Lin was about to make a breakthrough, if he continued to fight, he would without a doubt die. Master Ashenpine's heart was filled with bitterness, and he wanted to roar at the sky. He had prepared for so many years, but now he had to admit that he had failed. There was no turning back, and if he continued to fight, he would lose his life here. I'm unwilling. Monstrous hatred appeared in Master Ashenpine's eyes. He wanted nothing more than to devour Wang Lin's flesh. This person destroyed my heart's blood and that old woman named Zhao. If it wasn't for her stealing from me first, she wouldn't have given that person named Lu a chance. Forget it, forget it. Master Ashenpine's expression was twisted and his eyes were filled with anger, but even more so, he felt sullen and helpless. If the old man doesn't want it, then so be it. If you want it, then take it all. The old man will leave this 7-colored realm and completely seal this place. I'll destroy the 7-colored rift outside and trap you all here forever. Only then can the hatred in the old man's heart be resolved. Although that person named Lu killed Pangditsai, he must have searched his soul. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to know the true location of Sima Mo's cave. However, even Pangditsai didn't know the true way to leave this place. All he knew was what the old man wanted him to know. You all will be trapped here forever. Master Ashenpine's face revealed a ferocious expression as he charged toward the outside. He followed a path that he had not taken before and headed back to where he usually went. He had taken this path twice and was very familiar with it. If it wasn't for the fact that he was worried about encountering the lost ones, he would have been even faster. However, just as he was moving, Master Ashenpine's body trembled and he suddenly turned around. He saw Wang Lin's figure flashing toward him. A killing intent immediately surrounded him, causing Master Ashenpine's heart to feel a chill. He immediately sped up and rushed forward. Wang Lin stared at Master Ashenpine's figure, and his right hand formed a seal. The ancient god furnace appeared around him. His eyes lit up, and he pointed at Master Ashenpine. Change positions. After he spoke, there was a flash of light around Master Ashenpine. This light was blinding, and Master Ashenpine disappeared without a trace. His position was switched with Wang Lin's. Master Ashenpine only felt his vision blur, and when he regained his senses, his expression changed greatly. Wang Lin and Master Ashenpine's positions had switched. After Wang Lin appeared, he didn't pause at all and charged at Master Ashenpine. He took advantage of the moment Master Ashenpine was distracted by the spell to close the distance between them. He raised his right hand and pressed forward. His left hand quickly pointed to the back of his right hand. Large amounts of origin energy surged toward Master Ashenpine like crazy. All of this happened in a flash. It was unbelievably fast. Master Ashenpine didn't expect Wang Lin to have this kind of treasure. By the time he reacted, the powerful origin energy had already closed in. His pupils shrank, and he let out a shrill cry. His face immediately twisted, and 7 blood-colored nascent souls appeared. They quickly gathered on the blurry lightning mark between his brows. The mark suddenly released a dazzling light and charged at the origin energy in front of him. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed. The battle beast Shun Tianjun walked out from a cave on a mountain not far away. He stared at the battle between Wang Lin and Master Ashenpine and gasped. Today was Jin's worst day of December. He had written these 2 chapters for almost 8 hours and revised them several times, but he was never satisfied. I'm writing the 3rd chapter, and I'll try my best to write it well. Forgive me for today. The new year is about to begin. Chapter 1202. The lightning in front of Master Ashenpine was the same as the first time he fought with Wang Lin. It rushed toward the origin energy and collided with it. Rumbling sounds echoed in all directions, and the origin energy suddenly dissipated. The lightning pierced through the origin energy and headed straight for Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he raised his right hand and punched forward. Ancient god power surged, and a giant ancient god shadow appeared behind Wang Lin. This shadow was huge and moved along with Wang Lin's fist. Popping sounds filled the air and immediately collided with the lightning imprint. The sky changed colors. The lightning mark trembled and collapsed. However, the power of lightning within it turned into a sky full of thunder that descended toward Wang Lin. Master Ashenpine's eyes were filled with viciousness. He immediately used his strongest spell. He hated that Wang Lin would die immediately. Thunder. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with disdain. Lightning flashed in his right eye, and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. The ancient thunder dragon origin soul rushed out and roared at the countless bolts of thunder descending from the sky. Roar. The ancient thunder dragon was using the power of thunder. As he roared, lightning flashed wildly in Wang Lin's right eye and filled his body. The area around him suddenly turned into a pool of lightning. The descending thunder in the sky all stopped and rushed into Wang Lin's body. It fused with the pool of lightning and turned into a boundless lightning hell. Wang Lin was like a thunder celestial in the lightning. As he breathed, the endless thunder around him shrank and gathered in his right eye. This scene made Master Ashenpine's face pale, and he was dumbfounded. Not far away, Chun Tianjuan's forehead was covered in sweat. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with shock. Wang Lin didn't stop. After absorbing the lightning, his right eye flashed, and a faint trace of lightning appeared. It was the same as Master Ashenpine's attack from before. A bolt of lightning flew toward Master Ashenpine. Master Ashenpine quickly retreated, and his hand formed a seal. The 7 nascent souls flew out and surrounded Master Ashenpine in an attempt to resist the lightning. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Although his cultivation level hadn't increased, the breakthrough in his domain had made his spells even stronger. Compared to the first time he fought Master Ashenpine, he was different. The moment he charged out like lightning, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void, and a crack to his storage space appeared. Seven-colored light came out, and the seven-colored nail appeared in Wang Lin's hand. He threw it. The seven-colored nail turned into a ray of seven-colored light and shot toward Master Ashenpine at an extremely fast speed. Master Ashenpine's body was surrounded by a blood-colored light. The lightning arrived first and charged into the blood-colored light. The blood-colored light seemed to boil, and thunderous rumbles came from within. The blood-colored light continued to collapse and dissipate. Master Ashenpine's body continued to retreat. His right hand tore open his bag of holding and was about to take out a treasure. However, at this moment, he felt a powerful life and death crisis. As the blood-colored light continued to collapse, a ray of seven-colored light pierced through and closed in on him. Master Ashenpine's expression immediately turned ashen. The seven-colored nail was too fast. Blood sprayed out from Master Ashenpine's chest and exploded into a seven-colored fog. His origin soul was about to escape when he let out a miserable groan. There was a seven-colored nail nailed into his origin soul's chest. Master Ashenpine's origin soul revealed panic, but his eyes immediately revealed madness. Just at this moment, Wang Lin arrived behind Master Ashenpine. He raised his right hand and hit the top of Master Ashenpine's origin soul. Taking advantage of Master Ashenpine's origin soul being seriously injured and about to go crazy, Wang Lin began searching his origin soul. Memories were quickly obtained by Wang Lin from Master Ashenpine's origin soul. Master Ashenpine's origin soul trembled, and the madness inside became even stronger. In just a moment, it reached a peak. He let out a roar, and bloodlines spread out from his chest and covered his entire body. Wang Lin withdrew his hand and ignored Master Ashenpine. He swept through Master Ashenpine's storage space and took everything inside. All of this happened in an instant. At this moment, Master Ashenpine went crazy. He held his head, and his body gave off a blood-red light. His eyes were like those of a wild beast as he pointed at the sky. As he roared, his body suddenly trembled. Thunderous rumbles came from his body, and he rapidly withered. A moment later, his origin soul dissipated and turned into a blood-red bead. There was a flash of blood-colored light from the bead, and it covered all the light in the seven-colored realm. The world became blood-colored, and the blood bead shot into the sky. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was the first time he had used the seven-colored nail. Based on his previous experience of forcing it out, he knew that once the seven-colored nail was planted, all the vitality in one's body would be sucked away, and one would die in madness. However, he didn't expect such a blood bead to appear at the moment of his death. Seeing the blood bead fly into the sky, Wang Lin charged toward it without hesitation. He closed in and grabbed the blood bead. The bead immediately began to struggle as if it wanted to break free. A crazy force came from it, causing Wang Lin to tremble. His body was pulled into the void by the blood bead. Wang Lin's expression changed, but just at this moment, the heaven-defying bead that hadn't changed for a long time suddenly condensed in his origin soul and began to rotate. At the same time, a mysterious suction force entered his right hand and surrounded the bead. The bead trembled and no longer struggled. It quickly entered Wang Lin's right hand and entered the heaven-defying bead inside his origin soul. The seven-colored light gathered in Wang Lin's right hand, and the nail appeared once more. This strange scene caused Wang Lin's mind to tremble, but he didn't reveal any of it. He put away the seven-colored nail and looked at Chun Tianjun. Chun Tianjun had witnessed Wang Lin kill Master Ashenpine, and his face was extremely pale. When Wang Lin's gaze swept by, he subconsciously retreated a few steps and clasped his hands at Wang Lin. "Brother Lu's cultivation is heaven-shaking. I admire you. That Master Ashenpine was vicious and brought us here. For him to die by fellow cultivator Lu's hand is his good fortune. This person deserved it. Fellow cultivator, Lu did well to kill him." Wang Lin closed in on Chun Tianjun and clasped his hands. Chun Tianjun cautiously looked at Wang Lin. Without waiting for Wang Lin to ask, he explained, I left before, but when I returned to the altar, I couldn't leave the seven-colored realm. Then I encountered a fierce beast and was seriously injured. I found this place and am healing here. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he slowly said, to be able to escape from a rank 12 fierce beast, fellow cultivator Liu, is not simple. Chun Tanjun was nervous and respectfully said, my cultivation method is special and I have a good understanding of fierce beasts. That's why I was barely able to escape. There was no enmity between Wang Lin and Chun Tianjun, nor did they fight for treasures together. He clasped his hands and was about to leave. Chun Tianjun was originally hesitant, but seeing that Wang Lin was about to leave, he clenched his teeth and made up his mind. Fellow cultivator Liu, please stop. I have a request. What is it? Wang Lin looked at Chun Tianjun. When fellow cultivator Liu searched Master Ashenpine's soul, did you know a way to leave this place? Chun Tianjun looked at Wang Lin with a slightly nervous expression. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and nodded. Chun Tianjun let out a sigh of relief, and his expression became even more respectful. He sincerely clasped his hands and said, I hope fellow cultivator Liu can help me leave this place. All conditions are negotiable, as long as I can leave this damn place. Wang Lin's gaze swept past Chun Tianjun's face, and he shook his head. I don't plan on leaving soon. Chun Tianjun was startled and hesitated a bit before whispering, no problem. Before fellow cultivator Liu leaves, just take me with you. There's no rush. If fellow cultivator Liu needs anything from me, please don't hesitate to ask. After he finished speaking, he saw that Wang Lin's expression was normal and didn't seem to agree. Chun Tianjun immediately said, fellow cultivator Liu, with my understanding of fierce beasts and my battle beast sex spells, I can help you obtain origin crystal from these countless fog beasts. I roughly calculated that there are hundreds of fog beasts and even more origin crystals. As long as fellow cultivator Liu agrees to take me out of this place, I'll risk it all and obtain all these origin crystals for fellow cultivator Liu. After we leave this place, I'll reward you handsomely. Wang Lin was moved. After pondering a bit, he nodded and handed Chun Tianjun a jade slip. After you obtain the origin crystals, you can send me a message. With that, Wang Lin no longer looked at Chun Tianjun and turned to leave. Chun Tianjun watched Wang Lin disappear into the distance and let out a sigh of relief. He didn't lie. He really did want to leave this place. Originally, he thought he had no chance, but after seeing Master Ashenpine die, he knew that the opportunity to leave this place was with Wang Lin. Obtaining origin crystals is very dangerous, so I need to prepare. Chun Tianjun took a deep breath and tightly held the jade, as if he was holding onto the hope of leaving. He turned around and returned to the cave. Wang Lin returned to the cave and immediately took out a large amount of origin crystals. He placed a formation around him and began to absorb origin energy. Origin energy gathered from all directions and was absorbed into his body. He began to advance toward the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. Although this place is dangerous, it is an excellent place to cultivate. In Master Ashenpine's memories, there is the stone statue where his body reformed. Perhaps I can absorb it. There are also those 3 people from the outer realm. They have the power and information I need from the outer realm. There is also the old woman in green. Her life and death restriction, and Sima, Mo's time restriction. In the vast space, there was a boundless star system. Its size was far larger than the Luo Tian, Brilliant Void, Summoned River, and Cloud Sea. Even if the 4 of them were added together, they couldn't compare to this star system. This place was called the Outer Realm by the people of the Sealed Realm. In the mouth of the people of the Outer Realm, this place was called the Ancient Star System. In a forbidden area of the Ancient Star System, there was a mysterious palace. There seemed to be no one inside the palace, and there was no sign of life. There were several balls of 7-colored light floating in the palace, and inside the balls of light were jade pieces with names engraved on them. Shimizu, Tian Yunzi, Master Zhongxian, Taoist Water, Sima Mo, Master Ashenpine. At this moment, The jade with Master Ashen Pine's name on it collapsed into dust. A sigh echoed inside the palace. And just as the sigh echoed, time seemed to reverse. The shattered jade immediately reformed into a jade, as if the collapse had never happened. However, the name engraved on the reformed jade had changed to Wang Lin. Land of the Tao seed, Tao, is about to form. I'll use this person's soul to form my Tao. A murmur echoed inside the palace. It was as if he was talking to himself, but also as if he was sending a message to the stars. In the depths of the seven-colored realm, on the mountain that Wang Lin's mind had been to before, the white-haired old man was sitting there. Behind him was a cave that gave off a seven-colored glow, and there were many mournful wails coming from inside. The old man suddenly looked up at the sky. After a long time, he silently nodded. Chapter 1203. The valley where Sima Mo's cave was located was filled with a large amount of origin energy. This origin energy formed a vortex above the valley, and below the vortex was Wang Lin, who was cultivating. The origin of this seven-colored realm was mysterious and unpredictable. It was also filled with danger, but wasn't this a great opportunity for Wang Lin? After absorbing Master Ashen Pine's memories, Wang Lin gained a better understanding of the seven-colored realm. He even learned about the effect of the liquid inside the jade bottle and how to leave this place. If he hadn't broken through from the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser to the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser, Wang Lin would have hesitated. After all, the information he had obtained from Master Ashen Pine's memories allowed him to clearly see the danger here. More importantly, he knew about the existence of the mountain in the depths of this place. However, now that Wang Lin's domain had broken through, he only needed to absorb enough origin crystals to reach the mid-stage of Nirvana Cleanser. With his ancient god body, killing mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators wouldn't be difficult. Only late-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivators would be a challenge for him. If I can reach the peak of the Nirvana Cleanser stage, then late-stage Nirvana Shatterer old monsters won't be my match. Wang Lin took a deep breath, and all the origin energy in the valley gathered around him. In an instant, all the origin energy was absorbed into Wang Lin's body. Bursts of popping sounds echoed, and Wang Lin's hair moved without any wind. His origin soul was also cultivating and continued to grow as it devoured the endless origin energy entering his body. As more and more origin energy gathered, Wang Lin's origin soul was the same size as his body. This caused Wang Lin's eyes to suddenly open. His eyes were like two stars that pierced through the world. Just at the moment he opened his eyes, the large amount of origin crystals around him collapsed into a large amount of dust and formed a ring around Wang Lin. Mid-stage Nirvana Cleanser. Wang Lin smiled and let out a breath of impure air. He waved his hand, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. This jade bottle was the one he had stolen from Master Ashen Pine. Using the lost ones to devour the Tao and the enlightened ones to nourish the Tao. Fuse it with the 4 stone steels. Then use the scriptures on the skeleton to transform it into an unimaginable power. Then use this power to invade the skeleton and force out the blood. This isn't blood, but the Tao marrow of the person in the skeleton. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was the important information he had obtained from Master Ashen Pine's memories. Wang Lin didn't know how Master Ashen Pine knew this information. After all, Master Ashen Pine was a mid-stage Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, and the Soul Search spell wasn't flawless, so he couldn't get everything. The main point of this Tao marrow is the identity of that half a skeleton when it was alive. There are 2 stone steels here, and from what I saw, there should be half a skeleton under each steel. That means it was a person. This person must have been a famous person when he was alive. I don't know if he was killed, or if someone dug out his skeleton and used this heaven-shaking method to force out his Tao and turn into Tao marrow. Drink this Tao marrow, and you can obtain his Tao. The scriptures on the skeleton were also carved later. I don't know which powerful cultivator turned their spells into scriptures and came up with this shocking method. However, this Tao marrow can't be directly drunk. Once it enters your mouth, you will immediately fall asleep. It is unknown how long you will sleep before waking up. Master Ashenpine's plan was to find an absolutely safe place to drink this Dao marrow and wait for the day he wakes up. This is why he didn't immediately drink this Dao marrow when he was fighting the old woman in green. And the place he chose to sleep was the mountain in the depths of this place. However, I can't find any reason for him to go there in Master Ashenpine's memories, nor is there any sign of that white-haired old man. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the jade bottle in his hand. Interesting. Everything here seems to be there to provide the stone steel with the comprehension of the Tao. Even the ferocious beasts are the same. Why aren't there any rank 13 ferocious beasts here? I'm afraid that all the rank 13 ferocious beasts have been killed and their Tao souls absorbed. All of this is because of the Tao marrow inside the jade bottle. However, for the powerful cultivator who set up this place, this Tao marrow isn't as simple as drinking it. The white-haired old man on the mountain must be guarding something. Perhaps all of this is related to what he is guarding. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before putting away the jade bottle. However, Sima Mo's jade said that there are 4 stone steels here. It's just that when I scanned this place with my divine sense, I only saw 2, and one of them was empty. There was no skeleton or jade bottle. This is a bit strange. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin looked at the 9 caves in the valley. He had only opened the first 3 and hadn't opened the 4th one. His body flickered and he arrived outside the 4th cave. Wang Lin placed his right hand on the mountain rock and his origin energy surged. He gently pressed down and popping sounds came from the rock. All the restrictions on the rock collapsed and it began to move to the side. The moment the rock moved, Wang Lin's eyes lit up like lightning. He looked inside and frowned. There was nothing inside the 4th cave. It was completely empty. After entering the cave, Wang Lin carefully searched around but didn't find anything. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin arrived at the 5th cave. There was also a restriction on this cave, and it was a time restriction. The fluctuations of the restriction were extremely powerful. It would be difficult to break this restriction. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal, and the illusion of a restriction appeared. When his hand landed on the mountain rock, a rumbling sound could be heard. The mountain rock immediately became transparent, and large amounts of ripples appeared. The moment it became transparent, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was startled as he stared at the transparent mountain rock and into the cave. There were people inside the cave. For cultivators with tattered clothes and no hair could be seen. Their eyes were blank, and they looked like walking corpses. They walked around the immortal's cave in a daze, as if they didn't have any time to rest. They walked on for countless years. There was a formation on the ground of the cave. The formation gave off a gentle light that slowly surrounded the 4 people. As they walked, the light entered their bodies. There was also a jade slip placed in the center of the formation. Lost ones. At a glance, Wang Lin recognized the 4 people. He thought back to the contents of the jade slip left behind by Sima and Mo and took a deep breath. His body flickered as he headed toward the 6th cave. He used the same method to turn the mountain rock transparent and looked inside. There were 3 people in the 6th cave. They didn't seem to have fleshly bodies, only ghostly nascent divinities. They floated around the cave, and there seemed to be voices coming out of their mouths. However, because of the mountain rock, Wang Lin couldn't hear what they were saying. Enlightened ones, Wang Lin was silent. He could see that there were even more restrictions in the cave. The purpose of these restrictions was to completely seal the 3 enlightened ones and not let them out, unless one day they woke up and opened the restrictions themselves. Similarly, there was a jade slip placed within the restrictions of the cave abode. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin walked toward the 7th cave. After turning the mountain rock transparent, his pupils shrank. He saw an old man sitting cross-legged inside. The old man's hair was white and his face was pale. He sat there for an eternity. The restrictions here far surpassed those in the cave of the enlightened ones. They were densely packed and completely sealed off. The moment Wang Lin looked at the old man's eyes snapped open. They were filled with madness as he stared at Wang Lin outside the mountain rock. He let out a roar and charged out like a wild beast. Divine abilities appeared around him, and he attacked the mountain rock. However, the moment the old man's divine ability appeared, the restrictions in the cave flickered and absorbed it. The old man's roar became even more intense, and he slammed his hand against the mountain rock. No sound came out. Even the old man's roar was something Wang Lin could tell from the shape of his mouth. The mountain rock didn't move at all. After a long time, the old man seemed to be tired. He stared at Wang Lin and slowly retreated. He continued to meditate. The restrictions here gradually returned to normal. Could he be a defying one? After looking at the 3 caves, Wang Lin understood that these people were Sima Mo's fellow sect members. Sima and Mo had brought them back and sealed them in the caves in an attempt to awaken them. However, from the looks of it, Sima and Mo hadn't succeeded. The jade slip in the cave of the Lost One and the Enlightened One must be the time restriction. Sima Mo's idea was that once one of them awakened, all he needed to do was learn the time restriction in the jade slip and open the formation from the inside. With a sigh, Wang Lin walked toward the 8th cave. The mountain rock around the 8 caves wasn't a time restriction, but an ordinary sealing technique. After looking at it for a bit, Wang Lin waved his hand and the restriction disappeared. The mountain rock rumbled as it moved. The moment the 8th cave opened, Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. He stared at what was inside for a long time before letting out a sigh. Inside the cave, there was only half a skeleton. This skeleton was the lower half of the body, and there were countless scriptures carved on it. There wasn't any light coming from it, and it was completely black. There was an array formation seal on the ground, firmly locking this half of the skeleton. So the skeleton that the stone steel lost is here. As Wang Lin's gaze swept past the skeleton, he immediately felt a powerful suction force pulling at his mind. He took a few steps back and didn't hesitate to cut off the connection to his mind. After calming himself, Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit. If he just left like this, he wouldn't be willing. He stared at the skeleton. There was a deep fracture on the right leg. Although it wasn't completely broken, the wound was very deep. After a long time, Wang Lin's hands formed seals, and he pointed at his body several times. He placed a large amount of restrictions on his mind, then reached out and took out Master Ashenpine's crystal sword. He left a trace of his mind on the sword and placed it on the side. Then he slowly walked forward. This distance was only a few dozen feet. Wang Lin was extremely careful with every step he took. He slowly walked next to the skeleton and squatted down. Without any hesitation, he placed his right hand on the wound on the leg. His mind followed his right hand into the wound, using his mind to comprehend. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense touched the skeleton, there was a bang in his mind. Chapter 1204. What his right hand touched wasn't like half a skeleton, but a vortex filled with unimaginable power. His divine sense entered the depths of this vortex. He couldn't control it all. An indescribably powerful suction force came from the vortex, pulling Wang Lin's divine sense deeper and deeper. Wang Lin was like a lonely boat in the raging waves. He was constantly being pulled in by the vortex, as if he had traveled through time to a time he had never come into contact with before. The rumbling in his mind continued to echo, and it became more and more intense. If someone were to look from outside the cave, they would see Wang Lin's body trembling violently. His eyes were closed, his face was pale, and it was even distorted. His right hand trembled even more violently, but it was still stuck to the skeleton. The skeleton suddenly released a golden light. However, just as the golden light flashed, the scripture on the skeleton released a black light in an attempt to suppress the golden light and begin a battle. This was a world filled with chaos. It was impossible to tell the sky from the earth. It seemed like it existed, but it also seemed like it didn't. In the distance, a person slowly walked over. This person was wearing white and looked like an old man. However, his body was extremely blurry, making it impossible to see him clearly. He raised his head to look at the sky as if he was pondering. Just at this moment, a ray of 7-colored light suddenly appeared in the chaotic sky. This 7-colored light was like a heaven-shattering wave that tore the world apart. This caused the chaos to collapse. The sky was no longer the sky, and the earth was no longer the earth, but a starry sky. However, this starry sky was not black, but seven-colored. At a glance, this world had become a seven-colored world. The white-robed old man suddenly raised his head and waved his right hand. The illusion of the word battle appeared. It surrounded his body and immediately gave off endless golden light, forcing back the seven-colored light around him. At that instant, a mighty voice suddenly echoed between the heavens and earth. The genesis of heaven and earth is Tai Chi. Heaven is the beginning, and the earth is the end. What the old man cultivates is the Tai Chi of heaven and earth, the primordial rule. The seven colors are the guide. With a single word, all the seven-colored light in the seven-colored world suddenly moved. It was as if there was a force controlling it, causing the boundless seven-colored light to crazily gather towards the white-robed old man. In Wang Lin's eyes, it was as if heaven and earth were spinning in reverse, forming a seven-colored seal that continued to gather and completely seal the white-robed old man inside. The sky was filled with rainbow-colored clouds, and it was as if the entire world was collapsing. Waves of furious roars came from within the rainbow-colored clouds, but they became weaker and weaker, and finally disappeared. Zhan Xingye, if the old man hadn't given you the battle note back then, how could you have reached the ethereal realm today? With your battle soul as the guide, the old man will be able to find the place where the old devil Zhan was buried during the void tribulation. He will take his skeleton and force out the down marrow of you and your disciple, destroy his nirvana, and fulfill my heavenly Tao's plan. The ancient voice was filled with exhaustion as it gradually disappeared. At the same time, even the world in Wang Lin's eyes began to collapse. His origin soul was about to be sucked into the world and disintegrate. At this moment, within Sima Mo's cave, the golden light from the skeleton that Wang Lin was touching was completely suppressed by the black light. It was gradually forced into a corner, and the black light headed toward the finger that Wang Lin was touching. It was about to enter Wang Lin's body. At this moment, the crystal sword that Wang Lin had left in his mind suddenly flashed and shot toward Wang Lin at an extremely fast speed. It flashed past Wang Lin's fingertip, causing Wang Lin's right hand to be separated from the skeleton the moment the black light closed in. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he immediately became clear-headed. He took a few steps back without hesitation and stared at the skeleton, his mind in turmoil. The Zhan family's ancestor, Zhan Xingye. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. When he was in the Luo Tian, he had learned that the Zhan family's ancestor had stepped through space and left. Since then, there had been no news of him, and no one knew where he had gone. Zhan Xingye's talent was extremely high, and he had inadvertently obtained the battle scroll. He had studied it himself and comprehended the battle domain. In the end, he had left in search of a higher realm. No matter how hard his descendants searched, they could not find any clues about Zhan Xingye. I didn't expect him to be Zhan Xingye. The person who killed Zhan Xingye called himself the Sovereign and had the power of the absolute beginning. Could he be the Sovereign? Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy. Thinking back to what he had seen, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. That seven-colored spell was similar to Sundered Night, but it was clearly much more powerful than Sundered Night. Just one spell was enough to make Zhan Xingye unable to resist. Wang Lin's mouth was dry. He frowned and his eyes lit up. Something's wrong. If Zhan Xingye was killed like this, then why would there be such a clear will left behind in his bones? If he died completely, this will should have dissipated. Even if it still exists, it shouldn't be so clear. Also, the voice of the person suspected to be the Sovereign clearly sounded tired. Hundreds of thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind, but he had no clue. Spirit void, void turbulent. Could these be one of the two realms in the third step? When I comprehended the battle scroll, I saw an old man, and the battle scroll was drawn by him. He said that his cultivation had reached the void realm and was about to break through the boundary. Could it be? Could it be that he is the void, turbulent old devil Zhan that the Sovereign mentioned? From the way he addressed him, the person suspected to be the sovereign dreaded this old devil Jean. In order to find where the old devil Jean was buried, he found Jean Xingye and gave him the battle scroll, so that Jean Xingye could cultivate it and then kill him to take his soul. All of this is for the plan of the heavens. What is the plan of the heavens? Wang Lin's mind became more and more clear. Although there were still things he didn't understand, some of his thoughts were clear. 4 stone tablets and 2 complete skeletons. The first skeleton is Jean Xingye. So could the second skeleton be Jean Xingye's teacher, Old Devil Jean? Wang Lin gasped. That battle scroll is the Tao left behind by the Old Devil Jean. Wang Lin looked at the skeleton with a complicated expression. When he saw the faint golden light coming from the skeleton, he silently pondered for a moment. There were 3 battle scrolls in his storage space. He had opened the first 2, but he hadn't opened the third one after obtaining it from the descendant of the Jean family. At this moment, he silently looked at the skeleton and his right hand reached at the void. His storage space opened and 3 balls of light flew out. Inside those 3 balls of light were the 3 battle scrolls. The moment the battle scroll appeared, the golden light that had been forced to a corner on the skeleton suddenly flickered violently. It actually left the skeleton and charged into the battle scrolls. In an instant, it fused with the battle scrolls. The golden light flickered, and the 3 battle scrolls immediately fused with each other. This strange turn of events wasn't outside of Wang Lin's expectations. His eyes were serious as he stared at the 3 fused battle scrolls. After a moment, the fusion was complete. Golden light illuminated the entire cave, and an illusory golden word battle appeared in front of Wang Lin. The word battle shined brightly and gave off a powerful aura. In a flash, it shot toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin waved his right hand and put it away in his storage space. You obtained the battle scrolls and became the inheritor of the old Devil Jean. Because of you, the person suspected to be the sovereign found out where the old Devil Jean was buried. Countless years later, Wang obtained the battle scrolls from your descendant. Today, I saw your skeleton again. Wang Lin revealed a complicated expression. He let out a sigh before leaving the cave and sealing it with rocks. Wang Lin didn't open the 9th cave because he couldn't break the restriction. He could only see the 7-colored fog inside, but he couldn't see what it was. Inside the valley, Wang Lin looked at Sima Mo's skeleton and silently pondered. After a long time, Wang Lin left. Before he left, he went to the first cave where the mosquito beast was and left behind even more origin crystals. After walking out of the valley, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He was going to go to the stone tablet he had seen before and see the upper half of Jean Xingye's skeleton. After searching the memories of Pang Datsai and Master Ashen Pine, Wang Lin was no longer unfamiliar with the 7-colored realm. The routes were deeply imprinted in his mind. At this moment, he didn't fly into the air, but quickly moved on the ground. Passing through the valleys, he gradually arrived at the formation that sealed the old woman in green. The formation had already been opened, and the old woman in green had disappeared. After a quick glance, Wang Lin didn't stop and charged toward the mountain range. He crossed the mountain range and entered the fog. Wang Lin moved through the fog with great familiarity. He could hear the murmurs of the enlightened ones and saw a few enlightened ones floating by him. The more he learned, the more Wang Lin understood these enlightened ones. They were all cultivators from ancient times, but here, they had become objects for others to nurture their Tao. Wang Lin could even imagine that these enlightened ones must have been extremely talented when they were alive, and their comprehension of Tao had reached a certain level. This was why they were trapped by the Tao scripture and became enlightened ones. Letting out a sigh in his heart, Wang Lin didn't stop and rushed forward. He gradually saw a giant stone statue inside the fog. Wang Lin stopped before this stone statue. His eyes lit up, and he jumped to the head of the stone statue. In Master Ashen Pine's memories, the cultivation method he cultivated was called the 100 Life Blood Origin Soul Formation spell. The 7th spirit of the sealed realm he summoned was comprehended from this stone statue. The 100 Life Blood Origin Soul Formation spell allowed him to cultivate 9 nascent souls, but their power was far stronger. More importantly, these 9 nascent souls were not origin souls, so they could increase Master Ashenpine's cultivation speed by 9 times. What was even more shocking was that each nascent soul could form a spell. For cultivators, there were some spells that couldn't be cultivated at the same time. No matter how good they were, they had to make a choice. For example, the Old Woman in Green's Yang Gathering and Een Returning to Origin spell was like this. However, none of this mattered to Master Ashenpine. His 9 blood souls could be cultivated separately. However, before the battle with Wang Lin, the Old Woman in Green had taken one of his souls, and then Wang Lin's spells kept attacking him. Both of them were seriously injured, so he couldn't use all of them. He was writing the 3rd chapter. He was almost done. Chapter 1205. Sitting on the head of the statue, Wang Lin knew that the reason why Master Ashenpine's body had recovered and why he had the lightning mark between his eyebrows was related to this statue. One of Master Ashenpine's blood-nascent souls had cultivated the comprehension left behind by the lightning mark between the eyebrows of the statue. With 9 times the comprehension ability, he had barely obtained a portion of the inheritance. And now, during the second battle between Wang Lin and Master Ashenpine, he had absorbed a majority of the inheritance and gathered it in his right eye. He took a deep breath and sent his divine sense out to surround the statue. His right eye flickered with lightning as it circled around his body. At the same time, the lightning mark on the statue's forehead began to flicker violently. Crackling sounds could be heard as the electricity spread out. There was also a faint rumble echoing. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and his divine sense surrounded the statue. Lightning flashed around his body. He had the ancient thunder dragon origin soul, so he was the controller of all the thunder in the world. All the thunder had to listen to his command. However, the lightning mark between the eyebrows of the statue was filled with an ancient aura and was unruly. It moved around the statue and continued to collide with the thunder Wang Lin controlled. From afar, the statue was surrounded by balls of lightning. The arcs of lightning spread out, and the rumbles of thunder continued to echo. This was the entanglement between thunder and lightning. This was the roar between lightning and thunder. And it was also a battle to control thunder. Wang Lin didn't try to comprehend like Master Ashenpine. He didn't try to follow the lightning mark between the eyebrows of the statue to comprehend the meaning of thunder. He was like a servant that borrowed thunder to comprehend. It was as if he was begging for charity and obtained the remaining power of thunder from the statue. Then he could use it to form his own spell and even summon the 7th spirit of the sealed realm that could harm even the body of an ancient god like Wang Lin. Master Ashenpine chose the path of submission. He placed the statue as a god in his heart and used his nascent soul to cultivate the cultivation method he comprehended. There is no danger in this path. As long as one's aptitude was high enough, they would be able to obtain it. But how could Wang Lin choose such a path? He even dared to defy the heavenly Taos, roaming the heavens and earth his entire life, shaking the winds and clouds, daring to fight against the heavens. He defied the heavenly Taos to cultivate and compete against heavenly tribulations. He definitely wouldn't be like Master Ashenpine and worship this mere stone statue. Even if the lightning inside this stone statue was heaven-shaking and could attract the 7th spirit of the sealed realm. What he wanted was for the lightning within the stone statue to submit. If it submitted to Wang Lin, he wouldn't try to gain enlightenment from the statue. Instead, he would absorb all of the lightning inside the statue. They wanted to worship him. This was his pride, the pride of an inverse cultivator, and the dignity of an ancient god. Among the 10,000 primordial races, was there anyone that could compare to the ancient god clan? Even someone as strong as the moon-devouring clan was only a servant of the ancient god clan from Ling Air. If the moon-devouring clan was like this, then this person with the lightning mark was clearly from a clan in the outer realm, and they had to submit to him. Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed an extremely domineering gaze. He let out a cold snort and mercilessly smashed the head of the stone statue. A thunderous rumble echoed, but the stone statue didn't collapse. Instead, it released a heaven-shaking bolt of lightning. This bolt of lightning turned into a thunder dragon and charged at Wang Lin. As it charged over, all of the surrounding thunder was absorbed by it. There was a hint of madness and ferocity as it got closer and closer to Wang Lin. This thunder dragon was ferocious, but Wang Lin was even more ferocious. This thunder dragon was crazy, but Wang Lin was 10 times, 100 times crazier. As it roared, lightning flashed in Wang Lin's right eye, and his origin soul flew out from between his eyebrows. The ancient thunder dragon seemed to have descended into the seven-colored realm. With a roar, Wang Lin's ancient thunder dragon origin soul collided with the thunder dragon and began to devour it like crazy. As it continued to devour, ancient god stars appeared in the vortex between Wang Lin's eyebrows. Ancient god power filled his body, and he reached out with his right hand. At this moment, a giant ancient god arm appeared and grabbed the thunder dragon along with Wang Lin's right hand. The thunder dragon was devouring Wang Lin's origin soul, and at this moment, its body trembled violently. It wanted to struggle, but the ancient god's hand held onto its body. As it squeezed, a large amount of thunder came from its body. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul swept forward and devoured the thunder dragon before returning to his body. The thunder in Wang Lin's right eye became several times stronger, causing every part of his body to become blurry. Only his right eye shined brightly. Any thunder that exists in the world must listen to my command. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but there was an invisible pressure that caused all the thunder to gather toward Wang Lin. All of it gathered in his right eye and formed a lightning mark. The moment the lightning mark appeared in Wang Lin's right eye, a large amount of cracks appeared on the statue below him. These cracks started from the feet and spread like crazy. They were like dragons charging at Wang Lin, who was on the head of the statue. The cracking sounds were earth-shattering, and there were even bolts of lightning flashing within the cracks. As they approached, the statue looked like it was about to fall apart, but it still stood tall and unmoving. The cracks contained lightning and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. As thunderous rumbles echoed, countless silver snakes of lightning appeared around Wang Lin's body, which was the head of the statue. They formed a giant ball of lightning that was 1,000 feet wide. Wang Lin was inside the ball of lightning. The lightning struggled against Wang Lin's control, so it shrank like crazy and charged toward Wang Lin. A cold snort came from Wang Lin's body. His cultivation level might not be enough to fight against the inside of the statue, but his origin soul was a thunder dragon. He was the controller of all thunder in the world. As long as it was thunder, it had no right to resist him. This had nothing to do with cultivation level. This was a battle of thunder. The ancient thunder dragon exercised the power of thunder on behalf of the heavens. Wang Lin didn't believe in the heavens and wanted to steal the power of thunder. He used himself as the Tao to control the thunder of the world. This statue was the ancestor of the Scatter Thunder clan. Although he was dead, he had been accompanied by thunder for his entire life. He had almost become thunder, and the lightning mark between his eyebrows showed that he wouldn't easily yield. Rumor had it that the ancestor of the Scatter Thunder clan was formed from a ray of thunder. This thunder was heaven-defying and wouldn't yield to the heavens. If people worshipped him, they would be qualified to obtain the power of thunder. However, if they resisted him, they would be destroyed by the power of thunder. However, Wang Lin wanted to resist. Thunder flashed in his right eye, and his ancient thunder dragon origin soul flew out once more. It surrounded his body and let out a roar at the ball of lightning that was rapidly shrinking. As it roared, it released the majesty of controlling the thunder of the world. The ball of thunder continued to shrink, but when it was 10 feet away from Wang Lin, it stopped. There was a thunderous rumble, but it couldn't shrink even an inch more. Wang Lin had already stood up like a thunder celestial. He also released the aura of an ancient god. If an ancient god could fuse with thunder, then he would be the ancient thunder god. Yield or be destroyed. Wang Lin sent out a divine sense message. He knew that the thunder around him wasn't ordinary. It was thunder that contained its own will. With a will, it was a spirit. These bolts of lightning were thunder spirits. They were formed from the will of the stone statue after it died. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the ball of lightning around Wang Lin trembled. Under the might of Wang Lin's thunder, it even submitted to the impact of the ancient god aura. They turned into bolts of lightning and charged at the primordial thunder dragon nascent divinity. With a heaven-shaking roar, the primordial thunder dragon nascent divinity suddenly expanded. At the same time, the stone statue trembled as if it was about to collapse. Wang Lin took a step forward and stood in the air. His eyes flashed as he stared at the lightning mark that hadn't dissipated yet. From now on, your clan will no longer have the right to use thunder before me. Wang Lin's right eye lit up, and his ancient thunder dragon origin soul let out a roar. It fused with the thunder in his right eye and turned into a bolt of lightning that shot toward the totem between the eyebrows of the statue. There was a thunderous bang as the lightning landed on the tattoo between the statue's eyebrows. The statue trembled even more violently, and just at this moment, the eyes of the statue shined brightly. Wang Lin saw a star system in its eyes. In the starry sky, there was a majestic spell formation. It was so large that it covered the entire starry sky, and it was locked down tightly. Outside of the spell formation were countless strange people wearing strange clothes. Clearly, they were not cultivators. Their eyes were filled with mockery and disdain as they stared at the formation. Inside the formation, celestial, spiritual energy and origin energy filled the area. There were countless ancient cultivators and immortals attacking the formation in an attempt to break out. However, this formation was extremely strange and indestructible. No matter how the ancient cultivators and immortals attacked, it didn't budge at all. Some of the immortals didn't hesitate to self-destruct, but they still couldn't break the formation in the slightest. A sense of despair and sorrow filled the formation. There were 9 rays of light flashing inside the formation. One of the rays of light was a heaven-splitting axe. Wherever the axe passed, anyone who tried to break through would die. Wang Lin even saw many ancient cultivators choose to self-destruct in sorrow in an attempt to seal the heaven-splitting axe. But in the end, they all failed. Among the 9 rays of light, there was also a bolt of lightning. This bolt of lightning rumbled, and wherever it passed, cultivators and immortals all died. The people outside the formation looked at the formation with even more mockery and indifference. It was as if they were people of high status looking at mortals that were like ants. I won't accept this. I won't accept this. There will come a day when the descendants of our cultivators will break this formation and exterminate all of you foreigners. I'll make rivers of blood flow in your outer realm. A celestial that was struck by lightning let out a crazy roar before he died. The 3rd update was delivered. At 12 p.m., the first update on the 1st would be updated. Damn, I'll update the 1st. In a bit, I'll be celebrating the new year with everyone in YY. In fact, I'm a bit nervous. I heard that there will be a game where you can guess the type of character in the story based on the hints. I'm looking forward to this. I've also prepared 2 questions for everyone to answer. They will definitely be very deep. When the time comes, I'll personally ask everyone questions. I hope there won't be a situation where no one can answer. If that happens, I can only say that you didn't do your homework well. Everyone, hurry up and revise. Chapter 1206. The image in the stone statue's eyes dissipated. The moment it dissipated, the thunder inside the formation charged out. It seemed to break through the void, space, and time, and landed in Wang Lin's right eye. Wang Lin's mind rumbled, and he retreated dozens of feet. He stared at the image in the statue's eyes and revealed a ferocious expression. The statue suddenly collapsed into pieces and kicked up a large amount of dust. Outer Realm. For some unknown reason, when Wang Lin saw the image in the statue's eyes, his blood felt like it was burning. When he saw the battle between Luo Tian and the Alliance, when he saw so many cultivators die, he didn't feel this kind of feeling. When he saw cultivators fighting over treasures, he didn't feel this kind of feeling. When he saw the Alliance forces constantly fighting each other, he also didn't feel this kind of feeling. However, at this moment, he didn't know why, but when he saw the inside and outside of the formation, especially the deaths of his ancestors, his blood rushed to his head. It was like the cries of celestials before their deaths echoed in his ears. I won't accept this. I won't accept this. There will come a day when the descendants of our cultivators will break this formation and exterminate all of you foreigners. I will make your outer realm bleed like rivers. Staring at the collapsed statue, the lightning mark in Wang Lin's right eye continued to flash. After a long time, he turned around and flew toward the mountain surrounded by the time restriction. While Wang Lin was absorbing the thunder from the statue, one of the three youths from the outer realm, the one with the lightning mark between his eyebrows, was extremely pale and his body was trembling. He could clearly feel that there seemed to be a lightning battle in front of him. One side seemed to have the same lightning energy as him, while the other side also had lightning energy. However, the lightning energy caused his mind to tremble, and he was actually faintly unable to control the lightning energy within his body. The two people beside him didn't feel it too deeply. However, the youth with the crescent moon mark between his eyebrows had been silent the entire time. His expression was gloomy, as if he was thinking about something. As for the man with the flame totem on his forehead, his eyes flickered with undisguised greed. He was greedy for the fire energy that Wang Lin had sensed earlier. After a long time, the three of them appeared at the place where the stone statue had collapsed. Looking at the stone statue that had been reduced to rubble, the face of the young man with the lightning mark on his forehead became even paler. There was even a faint trace of anger on his face. He could sense that this stone statue was his ancestor. Although he didn't know why it was here, it was clear that not long ago, the lightning spirit left behind by his ancestor had been forcefully taken away by someone. But after the anger, what he felt was even more fear. What do we do? The man with the lightning mark on his forehead looked at his two companions. The man with the flame mark on his forehead slowly said, "If the three of us were to open the seal, we would be able to borrow the peak power of an incense stick's worth of time. With that, it would not be impossible to kill this person. Why don't we leave and report this spatial crack to the elders and let them decide? I have a bad premonition." The person with the lightning mark between his brows hesitated for a moment before speaking softly. The young man with the crescent moon mark seemed to have made up his mind. He clenched his teeth and said, "Riches can only be found in danger." The man with the lightning mark pondered for a moment. Then his eyes filled with ferocity. Without wasting any more words, he followed the traces of the thunder and charged forward. The other two followed closely behind him and disappeared into the fog. Wang Lin moved like lightning through the fog. A moment later, he arrived at the place where he and Master Ashenpine had fought over the jade bottle. Looking at the time restriction ahead, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. If this restriction was complete and had never been broken before, or if it had been broken for too long, then it would be extremely difficult for Wang Lin to break it unless he was willing to destroy his treasure. But now, this restriction had only been broken for a few months. Although Wang Lin had been confused when he looked at it, he could still remember that there was an invisible crack in the restriction. This crack was where Master Ashenpine and the old woman in green had broken it. I only need to open this crack again, and it won't be difficult. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal, and countless annihilation restrictions appeared. They instantly surrounded the restriction, and ripples echoed across the area. Wang Lin's eyes didn't blink, and his divine sense spread out to carefully observe. Shortly after, his eyes narrowed, and he immediately found the place where he had broken the barrier. Although this crack had healed, the time restriction had only been there for a few months. Unless countless years passed, this flaw would remain. This was one of the drawbacks of the time restriction. After finding the crack, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void, and the crystal sword appeared in his hand. He swung the sword, and the aura of a pseudo-nirvana void cultivator appeared. The world lit up, an array of sword energy shot toward the crack. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the restriction rippled violently. A tiny crack appeared under the sword energy. The moment it appeared, the crystal sword closed in. Under Wang Lin's control, endless sword energy filled the area. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the crack became larger and larger. Just at this moment, Wang Lin jumped into the air, and his right hand reached to the void. The trident appeared in his hand and gave off an endless black glow. Wang Lin charged at the crack like a meteor. He was very fast and closed in almost an instant. The trident stabbed into the rift, and a powerful force came from inside and entered Wang Lin's body. However, Wang Lin let out a cold snort, and ancient god power filled his body. He mercilessly pushed with his right hand, and the trident penetrated the restriction. Then the crack that had only healed a few months ago was ripped open several dozen feet wide. Wang Lin's left hand reached out, and the crystal sword flew back to him. He then entered the crack and charged toward the mountain. As for the cave with the lightning gate, Wang Lin only glanced at it once before withdrawing his gaze. Soon, he arrived at the top of the mountain and swept the trident in his hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and a spatial rift appeared in the void before him. The reason Wang Lin knew the exact location was because of Master Ashen Pine's memories and what Wang Lin had learned when he first came here, as well as what he learned when his divine sense spread out. The crack appeared, and Wang Lin stepped inside. Shortly after he entered the crack, the three youths from the outer realm closed in. The three of them looked at each other before clenching their teeth and entering the crack Wang Lin had opened. They charged toward the mountain. When Wang Lin entered the strange space, he immediately saw the giant stone tablet. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he walked forward. His gaze fell on the stone tablet and landed on the skeleton that was nailed to the stone tablet by two seven-colored nails. There was a faint black glow on the skeleton, causing the scripture on the skeleton to give off an inexplicable attraction that could make people go crazy. Wang Lin walked closer step by step until he arrived next to the skeleton. He didn't look at the scripture on the skeleton, but at the stone tablet. It was unknown what this stone tablet was made of, but it gave off an ancient aura and contained the marks of time. After carefully looking at it, Wang Lin frowned. He felt like the material of this stone tablet was familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen something similar. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's gaze swept past the skeleton. Although he was very careful, his mind was still attracted. He was prepared for this, and it wasn't his first time looking at it. He took a few steps back to recover. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he didn't hesitate to open his storage space. The golden word battle flew out from his storage space. The moment it appeared, the half of the skeleton immediately shone with a golden light. Specks of golden light seemed to rush out from the skeleton, causing the skeleton to be surrounded by two colors of gold and black. In the end, there was a flash of golden light, and it flew out from the skeleton toward the word battle and fused with it. At this moment, the entire world was shrouded in golden light. In an instant, the golden word battle charged toward Wang Lin and landed between his eyebrows. In an instant, Wang Lin was startled. The old man, Zhan Xingye, knows of the sovereign's future and wants to make the old man yield. However, as a Luo Tian cultivator, I would rather die than collude with the people of the outer realm. Those who obtain my Tao will comprehend battle intent. In the future, if you succeed, kill the people of the outer realm and sacrifice them to the old man. Wang Lin's heart was filled with monstrous battle intent. Scenes of Zhan Xingye fighting against the world appeared in his mind, and he gained a deep comprehension of the word battle. As he comprehended this, his domain increased like crazy and fused with his battle intent, causing a shocking change. Just as Wang Lin was comprehending, the space he was in suddenly distorted. The three people from the outer realm had entered. The young man with the flame between his eyebrows stared greedily at Wang Lin. At such a close distance, he could clearly feel the fire that made him go crazy. If I devour him, I'll be able to advance. The young man with the lightning mark trembled as he stared at Wang Lin. While he felt the power of thunder from Wang Lin's body, he also noticed that Wang Lin was in a strange state. A heaven-sent opportunity. Only the person with the crescent moon mark suppressed the shock in his heart when he saw Wang Lin's back. His pupils shrank, and a distant memory appeared in his mind. It really is him. The three of them moved like lightning toward Wang Lin with killing intent. As they moved forward, their right hands formed seals, and they mercilessly hit their eyebrows. Bang! 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 3 light bangs echoed, and shocking changes occurred to the 3 people's bodies. The person with the lightning mark suddenly grew to 100 feet tall, and his body was covered in lightning. The person with the fire mark suddenly grew a pair of flame wings, and a horn appeared on his head. His body was covered in flames, and he revealed a ferocious expression while he was in pain. The person with the crescent moon mark was the strangest. His body didn't change much, but his skin became like the moon and became crystal clear. It was as if it could reflect the golden light here. However, just as they closed in, Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His eyes became clear and revealed a hint of mockery. It was exactly the same as how the outer realm cultivators had mocked the inner realm cultivators. Born a hero, die a hero. We cultivators never shrink from a fight. Zhang Xingye's last words to the sovereign echoed in Wang Lin's mind. 2011, the first day, the first moment, the first chapter. Today is the 4th chapter, and there are 3 more. I want the first monthly ticket of 2011. If you're my brother, if you're my sister, then vote for me. If not, then vote for me as well. In short, I want tickets. Chapter 1207. Cultivators like us never shy away from a battle. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with battle intent. These 3 people were all from the outer realm. When they saw what was happening inside and outside the formation from the statue's eyes, their blood boiled. At that moment, there was no karma, only slaughter. The more they understood the past, the more intense the slaughter became. The young man with the lightning mark was the fastest and was the first to charge forward. He was originally only at the peak of the Nirvana cleanser stage, but after this strange transformation, his cultivation level increased greatly. He broke through the Nirvana cleanser stage and directly reached the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatterer. Wang Lin had never seen this kind of spell before. They weren't hiding their cultivation level, but at this moment, it was as if the 3 of them had borrowed a powerful spell from the heavens. To be more accurate, this wasn't the first time Wang Lin had battled someone from the outer realm. Back in the void, he had also battled someone from the formation beside Wang Yu. However, at that time, Wang Lin's cultivation level wasn't high enough to attract attention, nor could he control his own fate. However, now Wang Lin had the qualifications to ridicule and be indifferent as he looked at the 3 people charging at him. As the person with the lightning mark moved forward, his body flashed with lightning and crackling sounds could be heard. There was also thunder accompanying him, and it was as if he had turned into a bolt of lightning. His hands formed a seal, and the surrounding lightning formed a giant figure around him. This was a figure more than 1,000 feet tall. It was surrounded by green lightning, and there was a giant lightning mark between its eyebrows. Just looking at its eyes would cause one's mind to tremble. Lightning collapse. The person with the lightning mark let out a strange roar as he got closer and closer to Wang Lin. Lightning. The ridicule in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. There was a flash of lightning in his right eye, and a lightning mark appeared in his right eye. He took a step forward, and at this moment, it was as if the world had slowed down in Wang Lin's eyes. Everything seemed to solidify like water. Among the 3 people before him, even the fastest one was the youth with the lightning mark. His speed was so slow that it wasn't worth mentioning in Wang Lin's eyes. With one step, he arrived before the person with the lightning mark even before the thunderous roar echoed. He raised his right hand and landed on the youth's chest. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. In a short instant, Wang Lin's 2 fingers formed a sword and pointed out 4 times. Rumble, 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 rumble. The youth with the lightning mark's face turned pale, and shock filled his eyes. He coughed out blood, and his chest became a bloody mess. Large amounts of lightning flashed on his chest and spread across his body like a net. All of this happened in a flash, so fast that no one could react. In the eyes of the remaining two people, Wang Lin had only turned around and hadn't moved at all. There was only ridicule in his eyes. However, just at this instant, his companion was knocked back and coughed out blood. It was also at this moment that the rumbles of thunder arrived. Thunder Ancestor, lend me your strength to help me devour this cultivator. Popping sounds came from the person with the lightning mark, and a majority of his bones broke. His body was pushed back, and the lightning around him collapsed. His body was covered in lightning, as if he had been sealed. As blood spread out, he suddenly raised his head and let out a heaven-shaking roar. His expression was ferocious and filled with madness. However, this madness was filled with despair and fear in Wang Lin's eyes. The instant the person with the lightning mark roared, the illusory figure around him that was 1,000 feet tall suddenly solidified. Heaven and earth rumbled, and endless lightning appeared out of nowhere and charged at the illusory figure. As the thunder spread, the 1,000-foot figure was like the incarnation of heavenly thunder. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent, and he didn't stop at all. He took another step forward, and his true and false domain spread out. It was as if he was stepping on the heart of the youth with the lightning mark. There was a bang, and blood sprayed out from the chest of the youth with the lightning mark once more. His right hand pressed down on his chest. His heart had collapsed from Wang Lin's domain. Wang Lin didn't even look at this person. With one step, he seemed to ascend into the sky and arrive before the 1,000-foot figure. His right hand casually pushed forward. At the same time, thunder flashed in his right eye, and the lightning mark flew out. It instantly landed between the eyebrows of the 1,000-foot figure. From now on, your clan will be deprived of the right to use thunder before me. The dignified and gloomy voice echoed across the world. It was like a law, like a rule, and contained the determination to seal the power of an entire clan. It was like the Tao of Thunder had taken back the right to use thunder that had been granted to the Scatter Thunder clan. The figure trembled and collapsed into endless lightning that descended on the youth with a lightning mark. Popping sounds echoed, and the youth's body instantly collapsed in a black dust. His origin soul was sealed by the lightning. When Wang Lin turned around, it was as if all the thunder in the world had been absorbed by him and returned to Wang Lin's right eye along with the lightning. The lightning mark in Wang Lin's right eye became even more clear. All of this happened in an instant. The pupils of the person with the fire mark shrank, and unimaginable fear appeared on his face. He couldn't help but stop and was about to retreat. As Wang Lin turned around, his gaze fell on the person with the fire mark. Fire! Wang Lin's ridicule became even stronger. A monstrous flame appeared in his left eye, and a sea of fire appeared around his body. The sea of fire shrouded the surrounding 1,000 feet. The person with the fire mark's face was pale, and he wanted to retreat, but he was surrounded by a sea of fire. He struggled and let out a roar. The fire wings on his back flapped, and a large amount of fire came out from his body. The fire formed a storm, and he charged at Wang Lin. As he moved forward, his hands formed a seal, and he chanted a strange spell. Even more fire came out from his body and formed fiery spears that charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the sea of fire seemed to boil. The sea of fire closed in on the person with the fire mark. This was a confrontation between fire and fire. Two flames of the same origin, but controlled by different people, collided with each other in an instant. A series of heaven-shaking rumbles echoed. In the end, there was a bang, and the person with the fire mark charged out from the sea of fire. The fire wings behind him were like rosefinch's wings, and they carried with them a purple flame as they closed in on Wang Lin. A person is not a person. A sparrow is not a sparrow. You are just an abnormal person from the outer realm. The flames in Wang Lin's left eye surrounded his body, and the rosefinch armor appeared on his body. At this moment, He was like an ancient god of fire. The moment the person with the fire mark saw this, he went crazy. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and he cried out, "Holy armor! Burn!" Wang Lin's eyes were filled with indifference and killing intent. He raised his left hand and pointed at the person with the fire mark. With this, the young man's body trembled violently, and the horror in his eyes was indescribable. He let out a miserable scream, and a flame erupted from his body, burning himself. As a member of the Fire Sparrow clan, he had been accompanied by fire his entire life. He never thought that one day he would be devoured by fire. The flames that he had always been able to control seemed to have completely betrayed him when facing the person before him, as if they had met their true master. A miserable scream echoed in the air, and with a bang, the young man's body was reduced to ashes. However, at the instant his body dissipated, the young man let out a shrill howl. As his nascent divinity burned, he chanted a spell. "In the name of the Fire Sparrow clan, I summon the clan's spirit." The moment his voice echoed, his origin's soul collapsed, and the specks of light turned into flames. They unexpectedly formed an illusion of rose finch. This rose finch was completely black and was filled with hostility. It didn't look like rose finch at all, but more like a large firebird. It was filled with hostility as it let out a heaven-tearing cry and charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold snort. As his left eye lit up, the cry of a real rose finch came from his body. At the same time, a white rose finch appeared around Wang Lin's body. This was the real rose finch. The moment it appeared, it stared at the big, black bird with a look of contempt. Without Wang Lin's control, it let out a hiss and charged out. In an instant, half of the world it was and became a sea of fire that attempted to devour the big, black bird. The black firebird let out a fierce cry, but it clearly wanted to retreat. As Wang Lin spoke, Rose Finch and the black firebird collided. "From now on, your clan will no longer have the right to use fire before me." A thunderous rumble echoed, and the black firebird immediately collapsed. It didn't have the ability to resist at all. It was as if it had met its ancestor, or like a fake sparrow meeting a real sparrow. After it collapsed, it turned into flames and was immediately devoured by Rose Finch. Even the black firebird spirit was devoured. At this moment, all the flames in the world belonged to Wang Lin. Rose Finch let out a roar into the sky. It was extremely excited and showed signs of awakening for the third time. The flames on its body continued to climb higher and higher, becoming more and more intense. This scene caused the expression of the young man with the crescent moon mark to change greatly. In the end, his face turned pale and his body was covered in cold sweat. Just now, he couldn't even see the other person's figure. Everything happened in an instant, but it was already over. This was especially true when he thought about how this person had seriously injured his master in the void, even though his master had said that this person's true cultivation level couldn't withstand a single blow. Without any hesitation, the young man with the crescent moon mark immediately retreated. He wanted to escape this terrifying existence. It was as if the closer he got to this person, the more frightened he became, and his mind was about to collapse. "Even a slave like you dares to call yourself the heavenly Tao in front of me?" Wang Lin coldly stared at the young man and said words that scared the soul out of the young man. His ears were shocked, truly shocked. The first day of 2011 was truly king shocking. First, am I seeing things right? Brothers, he doesn't want to go to the old man's place to eat. Continue writing, you guys hold on. Monthly votes, I want monthly votes. Chapter 1208. The young man with the crescent moon mark suddenly turned around and roared at Wang Lin. "I'm not a slave clan member." Wang Lin coldly looked at the young man, and the fire from Rose Finch became even more intense. The first time he met this young man was during his battle against Wang Yu in the void. This person had appeared in the outer realm and formed a vortex in an attempt to take away Wang Yu. At that time, this person was extremely arrogant and had proudly said that in the eyes of Wang Lin and the other inner realm cultivators, he was the heavenly Tao. At that time, Wang Lin was extremely shocked. However, the more he learned, the colder his gaze toward the young man with the crescent moon mark became. The slave clan of the ancient gods that borrowed the power of the ancient gods to protect them was the moon-devouring clan. Wang Lin let out a cold snort and stepped forward. His right hand formed a fist and threw a punch filled with ancient god power. A sonic boom echoed as if it was going to shatter the world as it closed in on the young man. The young man's face was pale. He knew that he likely wouldn't be able to escape. If he wanted to live, he could only fight. However, he felt bitter in his heart. Even if he fought, he didn't know what his chances of surviving were. If this was the outer realm and he was fighting another clan member, he could surrender. However, the person before him was an inner realm cultivator and a member of the ancient god clan, a royal ancient god. From the records of his clan, he knew that a long time ago, his clan had betrayed the ancient gods. Even if he surrendered, he wouldn't be able to escape death after his soul was searched. What the hell is this damn place? Why would an inner realm cultivator appear here? His expression became even more ferocious, and he let out a roar. His hands formed a seal, and his body became even more crystal clear, as if he was covered in moonlight. As Wang Lin's punch closed in, he suddenly turned his body and formed a whirlwind. A giant crescent moon appeared within the whirlwind. The moment Wang Lin's punch landed, thunderous rumbles echoed. The crescent moon trembled, but it didn't collapse. However, a shocking amount of blood flowed out from the corner of the young man's mouth. He clenched his teeth and circulated all the power in his body. He pushed forward and shouted, "Reverse moon force!" Suddenly, the crescent moon in the whirlwind around him became blinding. An illusory fist of an ancient god shot out and headed straight for Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was the same as ever. Smiling coldly, he lifted his right hand and unleashed another attack. At the same time, he took a step forward, closing in with unimaginable speed. He threw a punch, and it collided with the ancient god's punch. Instantly, there was a loud explosion. How can the arts of the slave race compete with the ancient gods? As Wang Lin moved forward, he threw a punch with his right hand and closed in on the whirlwind. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the young man inside the whirlwind continued to retreat. With every step he took, he coughed out blood, and his body trembled violently. At this moment, Wang Lin was like a battle celestial. He was filled with endless battle intent and hot blood as he walked forward. One of them retreated, and one of them advanced. Every punch would contain the power of the reverse moon force. In the blink of an eye, it replaced all the sounds in this strange space and completely suppressed this place. "Break for me." Wang Lin's voice was calm, but it contained a powerful pressure. He withdrew his fist, and his right foot moved like a storm. With a bang, he kicked the whirlwind. As popping sounds echoed, the whirlwind immediately collapsed, and the crescent moon inside shattered into pieces. A bloody figure was swept out from within. It was the young man who was covered in blood. He turned into an arc and fell into the distance. Wang Lin took another step toward the young man. The young man's pupils were unfocused, but he struggled to chant an extremely complicated incantation. At the same time, his hands formed a seal, and he quickly pointed to the spot between his eyebrows. "Forbidden moon, God's wrath." The young man knew that his moon-devouring clan had an ancient spell that was called a forbidden spell. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they wouldn't use it because it was a humiliation to the moon-devouring clan. As he roared, the young man immediately knelt down on the ground the moment Wang Lin walked toward him. He raised his hands into the distance and formed a strange seal before kneeling down to worship. "Borrow the power of your soul to merge with my moon-devouring clan." At the instant his voice rang out, a vast wave of ancient god power suddenly appeared around the young man. Shortly after, the space behind him distorted, and a gigantic ancient god shadow that was several thousand feet tall appeared. The ancient god's body was blurry and its eyes were closed. Only the 7 ancient god stars between its eyebrows shined brightly. The young man felt humiliated, but in this moment of crisis, he couldn't care too much. His hoarse voice echoed, "Ancient god soul, please bestow upon me the power of the devouring moon to destroy all enemies." The ancient god shadow behind him suddenly opened its eyes, revealing an ancient and domineering aura. It slowly raised its right hand and smashed down on Wang Lin. The young man's eyes were filled with viciousness, and he roared in his heart, "Since you're an ancient god, then I'll make you ancient gods kill each other." Wang Lin's eyes were filled with sorrow as he looked at the ancient god shadow and the punch coming at him. He let out a sigh, and the ancient god stars appeared between his eyebrows. As they rotated, his body was filled with the aura of an ancient god. "The clan you're protecting is a traitor to my ancient god clan. By the order of my royal ancient god Wang Lin, all of you, scatter." The ancient god's words came out of Wang Lin's mouth and formed a ripple. The illusory ancient god's fist suddenly paused. Confusion and relief appeared in its eyes before it gradually dissipated. The ancient god clan had not had a royal clan for a very long time. The ancient god soul that protected the moon-devouring clan was just a soul thought, a will. Back then, it was a royal ancient god who decided to protect the moon-devouring clan. Thus, the entire ancient god clan carried out this will without hesitation. It had been like this for a long time. Even though they had died, the will that existed in the world continued to protect them. Unless a new royal ancient god appeared and gave the will to give up on protecting them, then this ancient agreement could be broken. Today, at this moment, Wang Lin's words were the will of a royal ancient god. The young man was stunned. With his experience, how could he know this secret that belonged to the ancient gods? He didn't know. So he was stupid enough to borrow the power of an ancient god in front of a royal ancient god like Wang Lin. From now on, the ancient gods will no longer protect the moon-devouring clan, but will destroy the moon-devouring clan. These are the last words that entered the young man's ears. Wang Lin stepped forward and swept with his foot. The young man's body rumbled, and all the bones in his body collapsed, but his body didn't disintegrate. Instead, Wang Lin's foot swept him toward the skeleton below the stone tablet. With a bang, the young man's body overlapped with the skeleton. Blood sprayed out from his shoulders as he was nailed to the 7 colored nails. Bursts of earth-shattering howls came from the young man. His body was locked in place by 2 7-colored nails, and his Tao was being sucked away like crazy. Even his soul felt like it was being crushed. This kind of pain was not something an ordinary person could endure. Wang Lin didn't immediately kill him. Instead, he made him suffer the pain that Zhang Xingye had suffered in the past. He made him wait for death in this constant torture. The young man's body trembled, and he struggled to leave, but he couldn't. Even his origin soul couldn't escape and was sealed inside his body. Wang Lin slowly walked forward and pressed his right hand against the young man's head. His divine sense rushed out and searched the young man's soul. After obtaining his memories, the young man was on the verge of death, but the pain was even more intense. He couldn't pass out or self-destruct. He could only slowly die under endless torture. Withdrawing his right hand, Wang Lin let out a sigh. At this moment, the fire on Rosefinch's body reached a height it had never reached before. It burned like crazy and continued to climb toward the 3rd transformation of Rosefinch. At the same time, in the vast void below the sealed realm, outside the formation that sealed the star domain, the space here was called the Ancient Star System, also known as the Outer Realm. In the vast Ancient Star System, there was a clan filled with lightning. This was the home of the famous Scatter Thunder clan. In the Scatter Thunder clan, there was a bolt of thunder that had existed for tens of thousands of years. This thunder came from a void and constantly rumbled. The Scatter Thunder clan had built a temple to worship the thunder. However, just as the person with the thunder mark died, and Wang Lin said to withdraw the power of the Scatter Thunder clan, the thunder that had never dissipated suddenly released a heaven-shaking rumble. While shocking the entire Scatter Thunder clan, the hearts of all the Scatter Thunder clan members skipped a beat. The expressions of all the Scatter Thunder clan members changed greatly, and they rushed over like crazy. The moment their divine senses spread out, the thunder that had existed for tens of thousands of years suddenly disappeared without a trace, as if it had been taken away by someone. After 10 breaths of time, although the thunder reappeared, the scene from before caused endless panic and fear in the Scatter Thunder clan. There was another area in the ancient star system where the Fire Sparrow clan was. It was very similar to the Rosefinch divine sect. This area was filled with fire, as if it was constantly burning. What was even more similar was that in this burning area, there were countless statues of Rosefinch erected on temples. However, these statues of Rosefinch were completely black like firebirds. However, just as the Fire Sparrow clan member died, and Wang Lin said to withdraw the power of the Scatter Thunder clan, all the firebirds trembled. Cracking sounds echoed, and 30% of the firebird statues suddenly collapsed. The entire Fire Sparrow clan was shocked. The moment all the firebirds collapsed, an old man on a planet in the Fire Sparrow clan looked at the sky and muttered to himself. According to ancient legends, when they are about to return, the fake sparrows will self-destruct. At the same time, in one of the 7 powerful clans of the ancient star system, the Moon-Devouring clan, a shocking change occurred that terrified the entire Moon-Devouring clan. My dad and mom were angry and said that I dared to not come home to eat dumplings on New Year's Day. I quickly called them and respectfully accepted their scolding. After my parents agreed, I continued to write 4 chapters. Brothers, you are very supportive. Your ears are very excited. Continue to charge forward for me. Chapter 1209. As one of the 7 great clans of the ancient star system, the Moon-Devouring clan had a vast star domain. Their ancestors had contributed greatly to the ancient star system, so their status in the ancient star system was very high. 3 of them had even become elders of the Sovereign Union, allowing the Moon-Devouring clan to maintain their glory for countless years. In the northern part of the Moon-Devouring clan star area, there was a forbidden land. No member of the clan was allowed to take even half a step inside, and it was heavily guarded outside. Only those with a certain status in the clan could enter this place to cultivate. Inside this top-secret forbidden area, there were 9 huge statues. These statues were actually 9 ancient gods. Above each ancient god sat an old man from the Moon-Devouring clan. Their hands formed strange seals, as if they were forcibly absorbing the ancient god power from the statues. Ever since the primordial age, after betraying the ancient god, the Moon-Devouring clan had been thinking of ways to obtain the ancient god power and replace the ancient god. They hoped that one day, they could wash away the humiliation they had suffered in the primordial age and make the ancient god clan the slaves of the Moon-Devouring clan. For this goal, the entire Moon-Devouring clan went all out. They continued to research and ponder, and after countless years, they finally found a way to devour the ancient gods. However, this method contained extremely great flaws and dangers. Even now, there was still no one among them who had completely succeeded in this method. The 9 old men on the 9 ancient god statues were the most talented members of the Moon-Devouring clan. Their cultivation levels were high, which was why they were allowed to come here and try to cultivate. Everything continued calmly. The Forbidden Land was completely silent without any signs of life, as if it was a dead land. However, at this moment, the ancient god shadow summoned by the Moon-Devouring clan members in the 7-colored realm was released by Wang Lin with the will of a royal ancient god to undo the ancient era's pact. Rumbling sounds immediately came from the 9 ancient god statues. Cracks began to spread across the statues. This sudden change immediately caused the 9 people on the statues to awaken from their meditative state. Their faces were filled with shock and confusion. They had no idea what was going on. However, this was not the end. The moment the 9 of them flew into the air, one of the ancient god statues collapsed, and the ancient god power inside it dissipated into the world. At the same time, the second ancient god statue also began to tremble. More and more cracks appeared on it, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into dust and disappeared under the dumbfounded gazes of the 9 people. Seeing that the remaining 7 statues were also collapsing, the expressions of the 9 people changed greatly. Stop the slave god statue from collapsing at all costs. A heaven-shaking roar came from an indescribable divine sense. An old man, wearing a moon robe, flew over from the distance. With a wave of his hand, the sky was filled with moonlight. The moon-devouring clan was extremely arrogant. They actually called the ancient gods slaves. Even though they were not real slaves, one could see the desire of their clan from their words. In the distance, several powerful auras whistled over. What happened? This was the question that rose in the hearts of every member of the moon-devouring clan who came here. The old man in the moon robe looked up at the void and gritted his teeth as he said, "A royal ancient god has broken the ancient covenant." However, there was a hidden trace of fear and panic in his eyes that became stronger and stronger. Wang Lin didn't know what was happening in the ancient star system. The wails in his ears gradually weakened until they dissipated. The body of the young man from the moon-devouring clan turned into blood that dripped down Zhang Xingye's skeleton to the ground. The young man's bones had all been shattered and scattered. Only 2 pieces of bones remained on the 7-colored nails, which were still firmly pinned down. Wang Lin didn't pay attention to any of this. His gaze fell on the white rose finch, and he felt the fire become even stronger. Finally, the rose finch let out an earth-shattering roar and charged into Wang Lin's left eye. At this instant, a sea of fire appeared around Wang Lin and filled this strange space. His body flickered and he left this place. He appeared at the top of the mountain under the restriction in the 7-colored realm and immediately sat down. He faced the 7-colored light in the sky above the mountain. However, the moment the 7-colored light landed, it began to distort as if it was being burned by force. It was unexpectedly forced back by the heat of the fire inside Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's left eye released a shocking fire. This fire was red at first, but it soon turned white. This caused Wang Lin's left eye to be almost completely white. The rose finch was about to awaken for the 3rd time. After absorbing the bird feather from the Penglai market and then devouring the firebird ancestor spirit summoned by the fire sparrow clan, the opportunity for Rose Finch to awaken for the 3rd time had arrived. At this moment, the 7-colored light continued to be pushed back. With Wang Lin as the center, the heat waves spread in all directions. At this moment, the restriction around the mountain closed once more, but the more it closed, the higher the temperature inside the restriction became. The red armor on Wang Lin's body absorbed the high temperature from his body, causing the surroundings to be filled with a monstrous sea of fire. This sea of fire burned as if it wanted to compete with the world. Rose Finch, the controller of all fire in the world. No one knew the origin of Rose Finch. Even the earliest legend only mentioned that when the world was born, it contained the 5 elements, and that Rose Finch was born from the fire of the world. Whether this legend was true or not was no longer important. What was important was that since ancient times, there had been a clan named Rose Finch. They were born from fire and never extinguished. The members of this clan all cultivated fire power, and they also had the mark of the vermilion bird on them. Every time the mark was awakened, it represented a transformation of the vermilion bird, and it represented that the power of fire could shake heaven and earth. Since ancient times, it wasn't rare for the Rosefinch clan to awaken for the first time. However, after countless years, as the bloodline became rare and mixed, the number of people awakening for the second time became fewer and fewer. There is no need to even mention those who had awakened for the second time. In ancient times, there weren't many, and now they were even rarer. A person who could awaken for the second time was enough to shake any member of the Rosefinch clan. But compared to Rosefinch's third awakening, it was like comparing a firefly to the bright moon. The third awakening had been extinct since ancient times. Only in ancient times, and even in ancient times, did there seem to be a few people with shocking talent who had reached this realm. But as for whether or not there were any, no one knew. A person who had awakened for the third time was the spirit of fire in the world and could command all fire divine abilities. At this moment, Wang Lin was in the middle of his third awakening. The temperature of the flames within the restriction grew higher and higher, causing cracks to appear in the space within. It was as if the space couldn't withstand the flames. The rosefinch armor around Wang Lin's body began to melt. It was as if even the armor couldn't withstand the heat coming from Wang Lin's body. In an instant, the armor melted into a ball of liquid, but it didn't flow out. Instead, it was absorbed into Wang Lin's body. The sea of flames that came out from Wang Lin's body grew larger and larger until it filled the entire restriction. When the flames first appeared, they were bright red and burned fiercely. However, in the blink of an eye, the flames completely changed and turned white. This white flame had the power to destroy the world. After it appeared, it caused the mountain below Wang Lin to release a large amount of black gas. Before this black gas could dissipate, it was hit by the flames and dissipated. The mountain became smaller and smaller as it burned until it collapsed. Even the stone door with a lightning mark began to crack. The woman in green, sitting inside the cave, immediately trembled and disappeared without a trace. What was even more shocking was that the beast's souls surrounded by the seven-colored light collapsed under the impact of the heat. The beast's souls inside were burned to death, but strangely enough, their Tao didn't dissipate and instead fused with the flames. As a result, the flames seemed to have their own will. It wasn't just one will, but an endless amount of them. However, in the end, all of them would be controlled by Wang Lin's mind. A moment later, the mountain completely collapsed and the rubble burned into nothingness. Only the rank 12 and San rank beast souls survived the seven-colored light and floated in the sea of flames. At the moment the mountain collapsed, the temperature of the flames inside the restriction reached an unimaginable peak. The flames swept out in all directions, and after the time restriction was hit several times, the weakest part of the restriction was torn open. It didn't stop, and it continued to tear open. The sea of flames and the high temperature seemed to have found a vent, and they rushed out through the cracks. In an instant, the restriction was set ablaze. As thunderous rumbles echoed, the time restriction turned into a burning fireball and collapsed. Just at the moment it collapsed, the world was shocked. Large amounts of flames rushed out and spread across the seven-colored realm. At this moment, the white-haired old man sitting at the top of the mountain suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with shock as he quickly got up and looked toward where Wang Lin was. In the ancient star system, the palace floating in the vast sea of stars was no longer bright but dim. Only the jade floating in the air gave off a gentle light that faintly illuminated the palace. The hall was silent, so quiet that it was terrifying. Suddenly, the sound of flames crackling could be heard. The candlesticks at the side of the hall were suddenly lit. The candlelight on them fluttered, causing the hall to be in a state of flickering light and darkness, making it look even more eerie. The hotter the fire, the more delicious the soul will be. A voice that seemed to be muttering to itself echoed as an old and withered finger appeared next to the candlelight. The finger gently pointed at the candlelight, causing the candlelight to burn even brighter. However, not even the candlelight could illuminate where the owner of the finger was. "Aren't you afraid that the fire will burn your finger?" A second voice suddenly appeared in the palace, and it was cold. "Will it?" The finger went into the candlelight and allowed the candlelight to burn. At the same time, deep inside the seven-colored realm, the pupils of the white-haired old man shrank as if he had received an order. He turned into a ray of light and charged toward where Wang Lin was. The fourth chapter was delivered. It wasn't an exaggeration. There were no lies. He had been writing from 9 a.m. until now without stopping or resting. He hadn't even eaten. It wasn't that he didn't want to eat, but that he wasn't hungry at all. Seeing the monthly votes was like eating a great tonic. He wasn't hungry at all and became more and more energetic. You guys are so awesome. Regardless of whether you can last until tomorrow, I'll continue with the fourth chapter on the second day. But I hope you guys can persist. Tomorrow's chapter will be even more King satisfying. Chapter 12:10. The mountain where Wang Lin was had disappeared, leaving only the beast souls surrounded by seven-colored light floating in the air. They were mercilessly burned by the sea of fire. The seven-colored light flickered as if it could shatter at any moment. The restriction outside collapsed under the impact of a sea of fire, turning into countless burning fragments that scattered in all directions. Even the endless fog inside the mountain range was torn apart by the sea of fire and completely dissipated. For the first time in countless years, there was no fog inside the seven-colored realm. The enlightened ones inside the fog floated in the air, resisting the invasion of the sea of fire. Even further away, the valleys outside the mountain range were also turned into a hell of fire. Waves of crackling and burning sounds shook the heavens and the earth. Numerous valleys rumbled and collapsed, and they transformed into blazing rubble that scattered in all directions. In one of the valleys, the old woman in green's face was deathly pale. At this moment, her heart was pounding and her hands were constantly forming seals to resist the sea of fire. Outside the valley was the outermost area of the seven-colored realm, which was filled with fierce beasts. During this period of time, Chun Tianjun had been moving between the fierce beasts, taking great risks, and carefully searching for origin crystals. Although he had the Battle Beast Sect spells, searching for origin crystals among these rank 12 fierce beasts was as difficult as taking a tooth from a tiger's mouth. There were several times when he almost died. At this moment, he was flying out from one of the mist beasts. His heart was pounding as he sped off into the distance. Behind him, a roar could be heard from within the mist, and a gale-force wind screamed as it chased after him. At that moment, the horizon in the distance suddenly turned white. The rainbow light in the sky instantly dissipated, and an indescribable wave of heat rumbled over. From afar, it seemed to be earth-shattering. The fierce beasts chasing Chun Tianjun were startled. They didn't hesitate to give up on chasing Chun Tianjun and return to the fog. Just at this instant, the sea of white flames spread out and the heat wave devoured the entire seven-colored realm. Only the area around Chun Tianjun's body was avoided by the heat wave and the sea of flames. He stood there in a daze, and his body was soaked in sweat. His mind was shaken, and he could clearly feel the high temperature inside the sea of fire. Even he wouldn't be able to last long inside it. He also felt Wang Lin's aura inside the sea of fire. The flames continued to spread until they completely surrounded the seven-colored realm. This caused many fierce beasts to roar inside the fog. Some fierce beasts even charged out of the fog and roared inside the sea of flames. It was as if they weren't afraid of the high temperature of the sea of flames. There were a few fierce beasts that looked like fire pythons that twisted their bodies. They didn't feel any discomfort inside the flames. Instead, they seemed to be filled with contempt and disdain toward the flames. When the sea of fire spread across the entire seven-colored realm, Rosefinch's third awakening began. Cracks appeared on Wang Lin's ancient god body, as if all the liquid in his body had disappeared. His cracked skin looked like he was aging, and it was a shocking sight. Outside his body, the flames were the densest. Endless hot air spread out from his body and swept through the world, forming a huge flame vortex that slowly rotated in the sky above him. A painful cry came from his body. The white rosefinch flew up as if he was struggling. It was clear that this was Rosefinch's third awakening. It was a test and a crisis for him. Wang Lin's mind was blank. It was as if he had become the incarnation of Rosefinch. The fire seed inside Rosefinch's body released endless heat. However, the more it released, the more heat it released. In the end, it felt like he was going to burn himself to death. If he released the heat a bit slower, he felt like he was going to be burned to ashes. This was a never-ending cycle. The more heat he released from his body, the more heat there would be. As the cycle continued, the vermilion bird's cry shook the heavens and earth, as if it was a ferocious roar before death. This feeling was something that Wang Lin had never experienced during Rosefinch's two awakenings. Compared to the previous two, this third awakening was extremely difficult. The heat coming from his body was even burning his origin soul. This was outside of Wang Lin's expectations. He didn't expect Rosefinch's third awakening to have such a change. As the heat in his body increased, The speed at which it gradually dispersed could not keep up with the speed of the fire condensing in his body. The feeling of burning became more and more clear. The skin on his body became more and more dry and cracked. It seemed like it was about to collapse. Suddenly opening his eyes, Wang Lin looked up to the sky and roared, as if he wanted to release the heat in his body. In this painful roar, a thick wave of heat came out from Wang Lin's mouth and spread through his 7 orifices. Every hair on his body struggled in the heat. Rose Finch awakened. Rose Finch. Wang Lin's consciousness was a little fuzzy. He instinctively released the heat in his body, but this method could only quench his thirst with poison. It could not solve the fundamental problem. If this continued, he would definitely die. His eyes were bloodshot, revealing a look of madness. If I'm not burned to death, I'll be reborn in the fire. Wang Lin's personality contained perseverance and fighting spirit. He also had the will to defy the heavens. The stronger the flames, the more the heat in his body roared, and the stronger his will to defy the heavens. Since I can't release the flames, then I won't release them. I'll keep them all in my body. I want to see what this fire can do to me. Wang Lin laughed in pain. His expression became more and more crazy. He sealed all the hair on his body and locked his 7 orifices. His body was completely sealed. He allowed the heat in his body to continue to rise crazily. He didn't let the slightest bit of it leak out. This kind of courage seemed like a simple act, but in reality, how many people in this world could do it? As Wang Lin sealed his body, the flames in his body reached a terrifying height. While he was sealed, the high temperature rumbled inside his body. His body felt like it was going to collapse, but Wang Lin endured all of this. Time slowly passed. The temperature in his body became even more intense. His body turned red and white, causing the world around him to collapse. At this moment, the flames in Wang Lin's body reached a peak and exploded inside his body. An indescribable heat wave appeared and burned Wang Lin's body. His entire body was covered in flames, making it impossible to see his body clearly. As the flames burned, the color gradually changed from white to blue. The moment the blue flames appeared, they immediately swept the surroundings. The temperature inside the blue flames was far higher than the white flames and replaced everything in the world. As it spread out in all directions, it caused the world to suddenly turn blue. The blue flames covered the sky and swept across the entire 7-colored realm. In an instant, the entire 7-colored realm turned into a blue fire hell. The outer area of the 7-colored realm that was filled with fierce beasts was originally covered in white flames. However, in an instant, the white disappeared and was replaced with a demonic blue light. With a flash of this blue light, all the flames here turned blue. The beasts that hadn't cared about the flames before, and even some of the beasts that had been emitting pressure from the flames, began to howl in astonishment and flee. They transformed into mist to fight back, as if they were terrified of the blue flames. The few fire pythons that looked down on the flames all let out roars and turned into mist to resist. One of the fire pythons was a bit slower and was surrounded by the blue light. In an instant, a painful roar came from the blue light, and the fire python was burned to death. Its soul was devoured by the flames and became part of its will. A flame that could burn a peak nirvana shatterer beast was extremely rare in this world. Under the impact of the blue flames, even more caves in the valley collapsed. The restrictions were so fragile that they couldn't withstand a single blow from the blue flames. At this moment, the entire 7-colored realm was burning, and the blue flames seemed to be roaring at the world. In the depths of the 7-colored realm, a white-haired old man rushed toward where Wang Lin was. He was very fast, but when he got close to Wang Lin, his expression changed greatly. He saw a shocking blue light before him. The blue flames were like a raging wave that rushed toward him. The old man's face immediately turned pale. His hands quickly formed seals, and he took out treasures. Only then was he able to survive the impact of the blue flames. However, the sweat on his forehead and the shock in his eyes clearly revealed how frightened he was at this moment. This What kind of fire is this? He had cultivated for his entire life and had seen a lot, but he had never seen a blue flame like this. This flame could threaten a nirvana shatterer cultivator and burn their body and origin soul. This kind of flame shocked the white-haired old man. At this moment, where Wang Lin was sitting, the source of the blue flames, the blue light was heaven-shaking and lit up the area. Within the blue light and the indescribably beautiful flames, the voice of Rosefinch came out. The moment Rosefinch's voice echoed, a blue rosefinch appeared from the flames as if he had been reborn. Its appearance caused the blue flames in the seven-colored realm to go crazy as if they were cheering. Below the blue vermilion bird, a slender figure walked out of the blue flames step by step. The vermilion bird's third awakening was like a rebirth from the ashes. At this moment, far away in the cloud sea, in the isolated Alliance star system, where the Four Divine Sect was located, all the members of the Rosefinch Divine Sect felt the flames inside their bodies burn like crazy. For the first time, they couldn't control the flames as they escaped from their bodies and surrounded them. Brothers and sisters, are you tired? My ears are really tired. Drinking Red Bull isn't enough, but now I'm drinking the Home Remedy anti-fatigue bottle. It's very powerful. I can feel it. Brothers and sisters, if you're tired, then forget it. If you're not tired, then vote for me. Even if we're in first place, we'll be there for a few more days. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.